NathanIvey.com. Mr. Ivey know the show must go on. And for Cincinnati, man, I put on. Tunes made another flame beat for me to cook on. Raised dogs, closed fists, yeah, too strong. Team AI, chop it up at the chop shop. Top notch with the king flow, the hot shot. Cop squats in, listen to the real. Jumping like hopscotch, nobody harder than, oh, no, think not. Not only citywide, but nationwide. Superlatives, keep it locked like them Haitian guys. Put the truth in the airwaves, we talk about it. Brand new like the templates, let's be about it. Who got the info by the AM? Jono be the rapper, got them jamming when they play him. Staying in my lane, they ain't gotta okay him. Who the host with the scoop? Yeah, they gon' say him. Ivy, so superlative like a bag of drippos. Show you where the bricks at, Cincinnati Reds at. One time where my people at. Team NI where my people at. It's the 513, yeah, you know the flow. What's the word, Nate? Let them know the show. One time where my people at. Team NI where my people at.
Where my people at? Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Hope that my flow is finding you in a good space this morning. Good morning. Come on in. The good old boys are still winning, should I say. We'll talk about this morning. And when is a person? Like that's like the core question that a lot of people are dealing with in a post Roe v. Wade world. And there's a very interesting case that could give us more clarity, quite honestly, on that question coming out of Texas. We'll talk about that this morning, plus a smattering of topics related to people, politics, and pleasure. Good morning to you. Nathan Ivey, your favorite talk show host. Good morning to you. Welcome back to the show. Good morning. Good morning, Pamela. We're streaming live on the Spreaker Network, the TuneIn Network. Those are just audio networks. But we're also streaming live on Facebook and YouTube as well. Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Good morning. How's the last 24 hours been treating you? Well, within the last 24 hours, there has been some major news as it relates to gun violence in this country. For the first time in, 30, 50 years? Congress has come together, put down their disagreements to some degree, and have passed a new gun safety law. There was a big White House event yesterday where Joe Biden put a spotlight on it. And we'll talk about the details. Now, it needs to be said that his speech was interrupted by one of the parents from the Parkland shooting. My father interrupted Joe Biden's speech and said, "You have to do more." So here Joe Biden is up there telling people what he's done, so happy about doing anything. And you got some dude up there talking about how he hasn't done enough. What up, Big Aunt Jones? Good morning. What up, Tiffany? Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. Imagine you're Joe Biden. You having this media moment. Matter of fact, our Mayor Avtab Pureval was at that event, as I understand it. And he gets shouted down. He gets heckled from the crowd. Crowd tells him, no, it ain't enough. But I'll go through the details. Manuel Oliver is the father of a victim, or one of the victims in the Parkland, Florida. That was a school, I remember. And, we seem to forget these families. Like, there'll be a mass shooting, a tragic shooting. Everybody has a lot of emotion. Everybody's outraged. Gotta do something. 2 weeks later, nobody's talking about it. 2 weeks later, no one is talking about it. You have to do more. Is what people are saying. But I'll give you the details of what this new historic gun violence law or laws are supposed to do. And you can tell me what you think about them. I don't think it goes far enough, but it is what it is. We are where we are. Good morning to you. Good morning. Let me see here. Hold on one second. I'm going to check something out. I want to tell you before we get started. Yeah. Good morning to you. To my peoples out there, what up? Also, the good old boys are still winning. I've been reading a lot about the aftermath of this PG Sittenfield trial. And oh, by the way, I did get a chance to listen to Lincoln Show just a little bit yesterday. I was down in the basement doing some cleaning. Like I said, I got a little boom box set up down there. That's typically when I get a chance to listen to AM or terrestrial radio. So I turned it on. I heard Lincoln talking about, does it? Great. I like tune in. I heard Lincoln talking about how he feels as if the jury got it wrong in the PG Sittenfield trial. That's his right. I mean, people can have their opinion about it. I may have a different opinion about it, but then somebody tagged me on some letters to the editor where people were like, hey, we got to look at the prosecutors in the PG Sittenfield case. And, maybe there's something there. I don't know. All I know is that, and as a black man in America, we can never say that, justice is always served because we know better than that. But, you know, uh, he had his case. He had his shot. And so now we got to deal, or his family has to deal with the aftermath of that. But the good old boys in Cincinnati are still winning. I'll tell you how. As a matter of fact, as I'm looking at things nationwide, the good old boys still seem to be winning. They still seem to be winning, especially when it comes to like the relationship between law enforcement and primarily black folks. Like for a while there, it just seemed like there wasn't a whole lot of stories, right? That was seized to be like outrageous when it comes to like police and police and citizen, primarily black citizen interaction. But now, man, it's complaints all over the country of officers doing the most unbelievable stuff, like the same stuff that was going on before Breonna Taylor. They're right back at it. The good old boys are still winning. And I do have some thoughts as to why that might be. I want to share that with you this morning. 513-873-7134. If you'd like to share your thoughts. Yeah, I'll put the cam up so you can see me if that's something you want to see this morning. Hey, what's up, Ray? She writes good risings all. Good morning to you. Good morning. Please like and share this stream. It means everything. And where my early risers at? Good morning to you. But first, I want to start in Texas because this is a story that, we're going to continue to see these kind of things. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to stop. So down in Texas, a pregnant woman got a ticket for driving in an HOV lane. And as I understand it, the HOV lane is an attempt to, promote ride sharing. So they have these HOV lanes down in Texas. And these lanes are for people that have multiple occupants inside the car, right? They want to promote ride sharing, which I think is great, especially with gas being as high as it is right now. I love the idea. Okay, it makes sense. So she gets pulled over, pregnant woman. She's in a car. There's no other human beings in any other seats. The only human being or beings are in the seat that she's occupying. She gets pulled over by law enforcement. Law enforcement gives her a ticket. They say, well, this is an HOV lane. This is a lane that is for multiple occupants. She's pregnant. She says, well, wait a minute. My baby's sitting right here, like inside of her stomach. And therefore, she feels as if she should not get a ticket because there's multiple occupants in the car. They're just all in her body. Now, allegedly, the officer on the side of the road told her that there has to be people outside of your body. I watched some interviews along with some commentary from some people who are well-versed in the Texas law, and they seem to believe that this will be a test case because there's nothing in the penal code that says that an unborn child is not a person. See where we are now? I'll say it again. You've got some very conservative, very religious folks out there that will not rest. They will not be happy until a woman does not have the right to choose under any circumstances because that's their religious viewpoint. It's not about right and wrong to them. It's about God's law. And that's just a very scary thing. We try to interpret God's law for ourselves. And then we want to project it and apply it to everybody else. To me, that's very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. But what do you think? What do you think? So again, I'll give you the lay of the land. You tell me your thoughts about it. A woman is driving in her car. She gets pulled over in an HOV lane, which I think is high occupancy vehicle. I think is what it is. The acronym stands for high occupancy vehicle, meaning that this is a lane that is designated for people to be in if they've got multiple occupants in the car, ride share, that kind of thing. She's driving alone, some would say. But is a pregnant woman ever really alone? She's pregnant. There's no other occupants in any other seat. She gets pulled over and she tries to fight the ticket with the logic that, hey, wait a minute, my baby's in the car. So there are more than one occupant. Now, is that the spirit of the law? I don't know. Like, my first question would be is, let's say that she was pulled over and her baby had already been born, but the baby's 1 month old or 2 months old or 3 months old in a car seat. Does that qualify as a multiple people in the car? Most people would say, yeah, because there's literally two different bodies in two different seats. I mean, it gets complicated, y'all. I'm telling you, this gets real complicated. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. 513-873-7134. The good old boys are still winning. And they're still winning. Winning when it comes to the conservative Supreme Court. Winning when it comes to many of these state legislatures. I don't know what this January 6th thing is going to really do. Like, is it going to lead to some charges or whatever? I don't know. But what I'll tell you is that most Republicans and people that voted for Trump, they're not watching that crap. They don't want to see that. They don't want to see anything that's going to challenge the status quo, what they already believe, what they already think. Hey, good morning to you. Come on in. They don't want to see. They ain't trying to do nothing that's going to change any of that. None of that. So you tell me, does the woman have a point? Does she deserve a ticket? Or in a post-Roe v. Wade world, do we have to amend these kind of laws to consider the unborn child just like it's a human being? Now, that's happening in Texas. I'm broadcasting live in Ohio. In Ohio, a state legislator just introduced a bill that would designate life begins at conception. That's when life begins, with no exceptions for rape or incest or anything else, right? You know, egg meets the sperm, sperm meets the egg. That's a person right there. And we'll see what happens here in the state of Ohio, which is a very red state. What will Ohio pro-life activists do now? Well, they're going to push and keep pushing until until abortion is completely abolished. Only in the most extreme cases, like they'll say, like determined by somebody else. And you can thank a very, very conservative Supreme Court majority for that. We've already talked about this Ohio girl, 10 years old. She had to go to Indiana to get a procedure done. She couldn't even get done here in the state of Ohio because of the very extreme, abortion laws here in the state of Ohio. You heard about this? We talked about it just a little bit. She was 6 weeks and 3 days pregnant. This little girl was 6 weeks and 3 days pregnant. And in Ohio, as I understand it, we have a very extreme law run by theocrats on some levels. And a woman's right to choose ends at 6 weeks. Yeah, thank you. How'd you sleep? Okay. Yeah. So she missed it by 3 days. 6 weeks is extreme because I'm not a woman, but you talk to women, they'll tell you many of them may not have even known that they were pregnant at 6 weeks. But so what? Screw you. Doesn't really matter. Big deal. Deal with it. Right? Just deal with it. The world that we live in, man. The world that we live in. Good morning to you. 513-873-7134. If you'd like to share your thoughts this morning, I would love to hear them. Hope you're well. Hope your morning is starting off well. Hope you got up nice and early this morning and got it in. Good morning to you. Does this woman in Texas have a point? She's like, wait a minute, got a baby right here in the belly. What do you mean? I'm alone. You're disrespecting my baby, right? She says that an unborn baby should count as a passenger in an HOV lane, which is, again, those lanes. I don't think we have them here in Ohio, or I've never heard of them in Ohio. But down in Texas, they've got these lanes that are specially designated for multiple occupancy vehicles, ride share, maybe vans, something like that. I get it. And that's a carpool lane, essentially. Think of it that way. It's a carpool lane. I love it. Makes sense. What do you think? See, folks are slow to come in. Good morning to you. Kamala Harris concedes Democrats took abortion rights for granted. And that's the reason why a lot of people look at the Democrats and say that they're weak, because they seem to take a lot of things for granted. It's like they don't really realize what's really going on and what they're up against until it's too late. Hey, good morning, everybody. What's up, Tiffany? What up, Jared? Good morning. What up, David? Good morning to you. Good to see everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Ray, Pamela again. Good to see you. Come on in. Come on in. What do you think? Well, I'll give you a strong opinion. I just don't know. I just don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what that world looks like. That's a new world to me, where, from the moment of conception, that's looked upon as a person. I think that's potentially troubling on a lot of different levels. And I think the saddest thing about it is you got a lot of older women who can't have kids making these decisions as legislator. They way past having kids, like Gene Schmidt. Schmidt ain't having no damn kids. And you got a lot of men who cannot carry a child who are making these decisions. That's very, very sad. After this story, I'm sure states are rising to update their HOV rules. Well, yeah, but what's going to happen is that you're going to see people in different states that are going to challenge these rules. See, now that they watch this woman, and I don't know if she's one of these conservative operatives, but these people are very, very smart, Tiffany. They're not dumb. They know what's going on. Like behind the scenes in some circles that you and I may not be privy to. Believe me, there's a lot of conversation going on about how they're going to challenge, Roe v. Wade or abortion rights or a woman's right to choose in all of these individual states. And these conversations are being held by people in these states who know the laws. They're walking hand in hand with, legal experts, legal minds who share their same agenda, and that they're gonna run a playbook just like they've been running it. For me, when I look at the moves being made by the good old boys, I think that there's an opportunity for us to learn from it, to learn their tactics and put them in place for whatever your agenda might be. But you're right. This ain't the end of it. This ain't the end of it. It's going to be more. This ain't the end of it. Like, we already know that, people all over the country were waiting and poised to take advantage of no federal protections for Roe v. Wade. They were waiting for that. And you have some very extreme elements that will not be happy until they have completely taken over a woman's right to reproduce. And women cannot have any kind of abortion in any case unless there are some predetermined, factors predetermined by other people. And what they'll say is, it's about life, it's about the babies, but it's really not about that. It's really not about that. It's really about their religious viewpoint and projecting it onto other folks. That's really what it comes down to. But good morning to you. Again, if you want to share your thoughts this morning, 513-873-7134. Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. And again, I'll give you a heads up. We're not done with it in Ohio. 6 weeks is too much for some people. It's too much. It's way too much. They will not be happy until it's 0 weeks. Again, it was just introduced in the state of Ohio by the state legislator. You know what I'm saying? Conception. When the egg meets the sperm and the sperm meets the egg and they sit down and have a little drink and whatever else happens after that, boom. No more abortion. That's a person right there. I think that's extreme, especially coming where we're coming from. But we live in a world where change is the new norm. Get used to it. What are we going to do about it? That's the real question. What is anybody going to do about it, if anything? Good morning to you. Let me see. All right, so let me go back over to what happened with Biden in his speech just yesterday. He got called out, and he was called out by a man named Manuel Oliver, who called on Joe Biden to open something called the Office of Gun Violence Prevention and to appoint a gun czar. And I thought, wow, that makes sense. I mean, we had a drug czar, right? We thought that drugs was such an epidemic. We had to have one person who was the point person for all of these issues. Why not have the same thing when it comes to guns? I think I like that. Biden was celebrating the passage of the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which provides funding for crisis intervention and mandates due process procedures for states with red flag laws. Mr. Manuel Oliver lost his 17-year-old son back in 2018 down in Parkland. That was a school shooting. That was a school shooting in which you had an officer who was, I think he was like a resource officer, and he wouldn't go inside the building. You remember that? He was outside the entire time. Yeah, everybody's a hero until you got to stand up to actually be a hero. And Joe Biden says this is real impactful legislation that's going to have an impact on the streets. But I want to walk through what's at least what we know about it, and then you tell me what you think about it. You tell me. Good morning to you. There is no ban on assault weapons in this new, Safer Communities bill, but they are going to beef up the penalties for those who are caught, with guns illegally. I'm not sure if that really works. I mean, some of this stuff, man, is just such a deeper approach. It really is. Like some of this stuff starts at how we manufacture guns. We won't look at that. We want to do all this stuff, but we will not look at the way that we manufacture guns. And then a lot of this stuff starts at the home life. It starts at the home. And Joe Biden and Democrats, state, city, they can't do anything about that. They can't come into people's homes and provide better examples in lieu of parents who are not doing the right thing. They can't do that. I mean, you can have a gun, but unless you got the human being that's got the intent and the willingness to pull the trigger, then the gun doesn't really mean anything. And so as the government can do something about, thank you. All right, I'm good. Thank you. There's only so much that government can actually do. I'll pick some up more today. You know what I'm saying? There's only so much that government can do. Right? Government can't come in and be a father to your child or be a mother to your child or create a good environment. I mean, that's what really matters. whether guns are available or not, not everybody is picking them up and pulling the trigger, pointing them at somebody and pulling the trigger. What's the difference between those individuals and maybe you or your family members? I think it comes back to that home life. But I also believe the government can do a lot more than it's been doing because of the gridlock. Good morning to you. What's up, LaMonica? What's up, Gladys? Oh, absolutely, man. It's off to a great day. It's going to be a great day today. Absolutely. The other thing is, yeah, I understand celebrating the passage of this new law, but save the celebrations until we can see that it's actually saving lives. You know what I'm saying? I get it. Biden is desperate for wins. Poll numbers looking bad, the economy, people belly aching about how much things cost. I get it. He's desperate for a win. It is historic. It passed the House of Representatives overwhelmingly. And I think about 14 Republicans signed on to it. Like all the Democrats signed on to it and 14 Republicans. So the vast majority of the Republicans said no to it, but they had enough. I think it was going to pass no matter what. And then it passed the Senate as well. So we'll see what's happening with it once it gets put in place, if it really has a real difference or makes a real difference. Hey, good morning to you, Kelly. What's up, Stepan? Good morning, everybody. Good to see you. Up bright and early with you on a Tuesday. What's up? What's up? Okay, I appreciate that. Good morning to you. What's hilarious is these something lunatics don't follow the rules they're trying to set for each other. Find something in the Bible about abortion. I'm no Bible scholar. I'll leave that to somebody else. You said find something in the Bible about abortion. I have no idea. None whatsoever. I just feel like, man, human beings are always trying to interpret God. And I think that when it's all said and done and we actually meet our maker, we're probably going to be very surprised. I don't know if anybody really has it right. I don't know. How do you know? I guess that goes back to what people say is called faith. Got to have faith. But in a crazy world, it's hard to do. Hold on. I've got the clip for you. I'm going to play the clip for you in which Joe Biden was actually being heckled. And again, this man lost his son. So, if you want to say he got a right to stand up and let his voice be heard, then he's got a right to stand up and let his voice be heard. Hold on. Let me see if I can grab this for you real quick. Good morning. Here we go. My friends over at C-SPAN. Check this out.
It's proof that despite the naysayers,
hold on, let me see if we can pick up.
We can make meaningful progress on dealing with gun violence. Because make no mistake, sit down, you'll hear what I have to say. If you think you...
I've been trying to tell you this for years.
Yeah, so that's what happened yesterday. There's a scene from it. And as I said, that man that you see right there on the screen, he lost his son back in 2018 in the Parkland shooting. And I can imagine that these parents, man, could you imagine you've lost your child at like a school shooting? And then you've been waiting for years for any politicians to do anything about it and nothing ever happens? What would you do? You would do the kind of stuff that he did. Biden's having some big old meeting talking about some big success. You're going to show up and tell him how you feel about it. You're going to get active. I got no problems with his father did whatsoever. Check it out again.
Many things. It's proof that despite the naysayers, we can make meaningful progress on dealing with gun violence.
Yeah, but why, my thing is, why are you even talking about naysayers? You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't want to hear about naysayers. What people want to hear is that you're doing something meaningful. That's what people want to hear. I don't care about what people said. The naysayers can still say that even though you passed this bill, Joe, it doesn't really have as much teeth to it than what it really needs. But roll tape, we'll finish this clip out.
No mistake. Sit down, you'll hear what I have to say. If you think you...
I've been trying to tell you this for years.
me finish my comment. Let him talk. Let him talk. No one, okay? Because make no mistake about it, this legislation is real progress, but more has to be done. Because
Good morning to you. So, ladies, I want to hear what you think. What up, Cam? Yes. I was muted for a second. Um, I want to talk about and get your thoughts about this pregnant woman down in Texas. So she's driving in a carpool lane, and I'll reiterate it again. She's driving in a carpool lane. This is a lane that's designated for multiple occupants in one side in one car. It's a great idea. In fact, I love it. Actually, may save some money, save some lives, save some the environment, save some gas. She gets pulled over driving by herself. But when the officer gives her a ticket, she says, "Wait a minute, I'm not by myself. Don't you see I'm pregnant? My unborn child is with me. My unborn child is with me." So she's like, "Well, how can you give me a ticket because I'm driving by myself and I've got my unborn child?" So the question is should an unborn baby count as a passenger in a carpool lane? Should she have gotten a ticket, or would she beat the ticket? What do you think? What up, Roy? Good morning to you. What up, Tanika? What up, Kelly? What up, Cam? No, you're not froze. We're not froze. I'm here. Good morning to you. Tell me what you think. Oh man, it's good. Tell me what you think. I think you're going to see more and more of these cases where people are crafting out all of the particular definitions and legal protections for unborn children. And for the next, I'd say 30 to 40 years, unless different states, and this is going to happen, but you'll have some states that preserve a woman's right to choose, and you'll have some states that are not. And it's going to be that way for the foreseeable future, because this makeup of the Supreme Court are relatively young, and they're probably going to be around for another 20 years, 20, 25 years. So this is the new norm. This is the new reality. If somebody's thinking, well, hey, all you got to do is, get one more Supreme Court justice in there. Nah, it's going to take more than that. They have a significant majority for this type of thinking. And I don't think anything's going to change anytime soon. Roy writes, according to the law of Texas, an unborn fetus is considered as a person. So she should have gotten, is considered a person. So she should have gotten a ticket. Okay, Roy, wait a minute. That sounds wait. So should she have gotten a ticket or should she have not gotten a ticket? So if an unborn fetus is considered a person, well, then that means that a pregnant woman is essentially two people in one body. This is gets yeah, she shouldn't have. She shouldn't have. Yeah, I watched something this morning with a lawyer, and she said the same thing. So, what does that mean in terms of the rest of the country? Probably nothing. It'll probably have wider implications in Texas and in other states that have similar abortion laws, such as Texas does. But that's about it. That's about it. Appreciate you. What up, Fox? Good to see you. Rise and shine, young stars. Judeo Christians. Oh, okay. Judeo Christians. That what you meant? Okay, I get you. But folks, I'm here to tell you that the good old boys are still winning. I keep reading these articles, man, about how black people are being treated by police all over the country, and um, it's just terrible. It's just terrible. I'm reading about a man who is suing the police after suffering 40 bites. We know what happened in Dayton with Jalen Walker, shot at what 80, 90 times. His body was basically um, riddled with bullets. Riddled with bullets with Jalen Walker. And I even read something, maybe you read this as well as it relates to Jalen Walker, that tells you the good old boys are winning still because they're back to their old tricks. Is that when they did the autopsy, like when he got to the medical examiner, he was handcuffed. Did you read that? I read that Jalen Walker, that's the brother that got shot at like 80, 90 times. They shot at him like he was some type of undead being or something. Like he was going to be in the new, I don't know, Snoop Dogg, Jamie Foxx Netflix movie about vampires or something like that. And when his body showed up for the autopsy or the medical examiner, he was still handcuffed. Did you read that? I mean, I read that. I was like, what in the hell? But it fits. You know, the officers will say it's procedure. It's procedure. Procedure. You know, we're just following procedure, the whole 9 yards. This is what we were taught to do. Is we're trained to do. See, it's that game. That game is real long. Let's talk about Cincinnati. The good old boys are still willing in Cincinnati. I know PG Sittenfield is going to be sentenced later this year. We'll see what happens with Jeff Pastor, but it seems like people are like, yeah, this is going to help clean up Cincinnati. And it might in the short term. In the short term, it might. But the good old boys are still winning. The real puppet masters of Cincinnati are still doing what they do. Nothing has really changed in that regard. Do you agree or disagree? 513-873-7134. Good morning to you. Good to see you. Ah, man, great. Ray writes, there's no way a man should have been shot 60 times and there's no repercussions. Never mind. Oh, there'll be repercussions already. There'll be repercussions. I mean, people are in the streets right now. All kinds of folks have been arrested up in Dayton. You have family members of other people that were killed by law enforcement in different parts of the country that have been going to Dayton. Have you seen this? Man, like some family members of Breonna Taylor. There was another man whose son was killed by police. He got arrested, smacked all in the mouth. I mean, it's been going down up in Dayton. It's been going down up in there. People are hitting the streets because they're outraged. And you know what that tells me? When you see people hit the streets after a shooting like that, what that tells me is that there's been a long simmering issue with the police in that particular city with that particular demographic, right? Because I don't think people just hit the street the first time something happens. You know, just like the city of Cincinnati, like with Timothy Thomas. You know, that was sort of like the straw that broke the camel's back, but there have been long simmering issues for a long time as it relates to how people felt like, you know, Cincinnati police treated them and dealt with them. That wasn't new. That wasn't new. And I would imagine it's the same thing in Dayton. If you see people in the streets of Dayton, that's because they've had their own issues. They had their own experiences. it's probably been a history of issues and problems. And then that happens, and it's just a straw that broke the camel's back. You agree or disagree with that? Akron, I'm sorry, Akron, not Dayton, Akron. Thank you for the correction. Appreciate that. It's been going down up there, man. And then I've heard that, Akron has had their own issues for some time. And so this is nothing new. Good morning to you. They need some Kaiser So say repercussions for these murderers, good, bad, or indifferent. Kaiser So say, huh? I don't know. They need now. What again now, Ray? What exactly are you saying now? All right, folks, stay tuned. Let me take a quick break. Hey, what's up, Deborah? Good morning to you. Let me take a quick break. We'll come right back. It's the Nathan Ivey Show, live, local, and vocal. Don't go anywhere.
You always make me feel like, oh yeah, you never leave my thoughts alone, yeah, you're the reason I'm going out my mind. I just can't stop thinking about you. Take it away, feeling too good to me. Chilling all day, all in your space is where I wanna be. Here in this room, what did you do? I just can't get enough. Too caught up in your love. I've been trying to forget, but you won't let me. Something in my brain wants you. I've been hanging by myself, asking for help, but nothing seems to work on you. Yeah, you always make me feel like, yeah, you never leave my thoughts alone, yeah, you're the reason I'm going out of my mind. Just stop thinking about you. Just stop thinking about you. All that I crave when you're away, nights are sleepless. Do we need space? You may be a break, boy, you're my weakness. Giving we take, the love that we make, it's my favorite drug. Too caught up in your love. I've been trying to forget, but you won't let me. Something in my brain wants you. I've been hanging by myself, asking for help, but nothing seems to work on you. Yeah, you always make me feel like, oh yeah, you never leave my thoughts alone, yeah, you're the reason I'm going out my mind. I just, yeah, you always make me feel like, oh yeah, you never leave my thoughts alone, yeah, you're the reason I'm going out my mind. Just stop thinking about you. Just stop thinking about you. Bad little flex, she wanna know me. I stay low key, all gas, no brakes, baby, let them hoes sleep. Body on 10, make your girl OD. I get in my way, never out of my lane. Feel like you the one and I'm on one. So what it's gonna be? Baby, squad up, we finna go deep. Is you riding on a team? Got what you need, baby, won't you keep me company? Give me something to do when I get lonely. I got something for you when we get home. If you let me put it down, when I hit the town, you should slide on me. Keep your eyes on me. On try, baby, I think you should side with me. Stay solid one time if you lie with me. Just promise you never lie to me. Keep the moves on tuck. I know it's all up. Everything good. Keep the vibes on crush. I know it's all good. Know it's all love. Know like I can. Say, baddest in the land. Body turn your nigga to a fan, yeah. I made it where I'm at on my own. Had a couple blocks in the road, but I get to the bag on the low. I be counting stacks while they grow, yeah, you know me. Baby, won't you keep me company? Give me something to do when I get lonely. I got something for you when we get home. If you let me put it down, when I come in town, you should slide on me. Keep your minds on me. On try, baby, I think you should side with me. Stay solid one time if you lie with me. Just promise you never lie to me. Keep the moves on tuck. I know it's all up. Everything good. Keep the vibes on crush. I know it's all good. Know it's all love. Know it's all love.
All right, good morning, friends. Took a little time away. Good morning, I'm back. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Wing Champ, the undisputed champion of all wings. They're out in beautiful Sharonville, Ohio. You can, in Sharonville Road, you can call ahead for pickup and delivery this morning or today or this weekend if you're looking for a great place to eat. And they are Black owned. Good morning to you. Let's see here. Let me see. All right. All right, there we go. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. What up, Nat? What up, Deborah? What's up, Shaba? Ohio has to be the number one in unarmed killings by police. You think so? All I know is that for a short time there, and you know, when you do a daily show, you get a chance to monitor news. But for a short time there, it seemed like the news about, we'll call it what it is, police brutality. It wasn't as frequent. I wasn't still seeing stories, but it seems like the frequency has gone right back to where it used to be, like previous to 2001, or I'm sorry, to 2020. And 2020 shocked the world. 2020 shocked the world. I mean, there were a lot of things that happened in the world in 2020. You had the pandemic was going on. You had the death of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. But it kind of seems like, I'll be honest with you, it seems like Breonna Taylor and George Floyd is just a thing of the past. That's what it feel like. I feel like people ain't really focusing on it anymore. You know what I'm saying? It felt like for a minute there, like, you know, the allies of Black people was out there, and you know, there was all kinds of like support on multiple levels. It just doesn't feel like that's the same as it was back then. Is it just me? I don't feel like it's the same. Things done changed. And I wonder why that is. Like, remember when people were talking about reimagining the police? That's like a bad word now. Nobody's talking about reimagining police, which I was not about, or defunding police, right? Remember how defunding the police came out and people were like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then forces came in and they turned it into something negative. And then you had Democrat politicians that had to run away from it. You know, to me, that George Floyd stuff is like a million miles away. Breonna Taylor, a million miles away. Nobody's really focusing on it. You had some cities in which they were having conversations about rethinking their police budgets. They went right back to the same old thing. Right? Telling you, there's a lot of forces at play. And they don't always reveal themselves. So what were we dealing with last summer, right? Into this summer? Crime, 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 crime. Like when people's perception of crime is being up, nobody wants to talk about rethinking the police budget. Nobody's thinking about that, right? I think that in cities where you already had established grassroots movements, activists, individuals that were already had already established relationships with those local governments, had already established, policy agendas and policy objectives. In those cities where people was doing that pre-2020, pre-George Floyd, pre-Breonna Taylor, I would imagine that if you look at those cities, in those cities, they're probably making some steps forward. In the cities in which they didn't already have those relationships, and then people were active for the summer, and they were hitting the streets, and they were going to city council meetings. When those people left, it was back to business as usual. Cam writes, has anyone seen the the Rhode Island? Yeah, man, we talked about that last week. Everybody talked about that. Is this the new face of black politics in America? We Cam, listen, we got to be careful of that. We do that with black folks all the time. One black person does that, and somehow that's an example of a whole movement. No, that was just her. That was just her. She's standing on her head, twerking on the beach, and she's an elected official. That's not, to me, endemic of or an example of anything more than just that one person's bad decisions, period. That's it. But when you see a person twerking and they're elected official, it's great clickbait. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, this is shocking. It's like an OMG moment. So people will flock to it. But no, she's not the new face of black politics in America. How could she be? She's just one woman from Rhode Island who made questionable decisions. That's it. That's it. That's all. I was listening to some new black media. They was like, oh, see, this is what you got to do for the white folks. You got to dance. These folks is always willing to twist something into a conspiracy theory that fit their own little fairyland that they've created. And it works for them. So they're going to keep doing it. And people want to hear that. But no. Cam writes, what about the people that vote for her? What are they? People that voted for her. Nothing more than that, Cam. People that voted for her. That's it. That's it. That's all. So let's put these things in context. So everybody want to criticize this woman. I don't think it's professional, but we live in a world where nobody's professional. Professionalism is a lost art across the board. Across the board, professionalism is a lost art. Across the board, Cam. So this is an example of her being, to me, not being professional. Now, if somebody voted for her before she put out the video, how you gonna blame them? They didn't know she was gonna do that. And despite her unprofessional display, I don't know what her politics are. I don't know the demographics of the district that she serves. I mean, despite this, and I think it's a bit out there, it might cost her. But despite this, when it comes to policy, she might be on point. I don't know. I have no idea. But, it's hard to really say. Terrace writes, that's the new face of the Democratic Party. Okay, that's what people think. Think what you want. I don't, how is she the new face of the Democratic Party as opposed to somebody else? I think that she embarrassed herself, and that's it. That's it. That's it. That's all. There's nothing more that needs to be said about it. She embarrassed herself, and that's it. You got some of these same folks out here that criticize her, be like, oh, she dancing for the Democrat Party. And then they go to their job every day and they dance on their job for their supervisors. So I'm saying, it's like some of these same folks that talk that biggity bliggity black stuff, they get on these jobs and they bend the knee. So it's real easy to criticize somebody, but when it's you and it's your livelihood on the line and it's your paycheck, what do most people do? Brent writes, professionalism is relative, just like the prior generations will call men going into work in jeans and a polo shirt unprofessional because they wore a dress shirt, ties, and slacks. Yeah, but you know what? Professionalism is not that relative. It's not that relative. Like, for instance, do you think that this woman who represents, and again, when you're an elected official, it's not about you. It's about the people that you represent. So here you are twerking upside down. You telling me that's professional? It's not. I'll leave it like that. But to say it's somehow, an example of something larger than that, it might be. I'm just not smart enough to figure it out. So maybe y'all can tell me that. Terrace writes, between twerking and Charlie Booker with the noose around his neck in his campaign video is no better than Herschel Walker and the Republican Party parading him around. I don't see the connection between those. Help me with this, Terrace. So a woman in Rhode Island that nobody's ever heard of, who's a state rep. She's not a U.S. rep to Congress. She's a state rep. She puts out a video in which she displays her bad decision-making. And then you're going to equate that to Charlie Booker making a larger point about the lynching of black people in America in a campaign video. And then you can compare that to Herschel Walker, all the lies he's told. I don't see what the comparison is. I mean, other than the fact that we all talking about black folks, but I don't see what the comparison is. And it is a lot better than Herschel Walker. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's not compare Herschel Walker with a history of lying to somebody twerking. They ain't the same things. I take a twerker over a liar any day. That's just me. I don't know. That's a very trouble. I think you're reaching with that, Terrace, all the way around, bro. You reaching with that one. That's a long reach right there. Good morning to you. You are reaching, bro. That was a campaign ad. Daniela writes, and she's responding to Kamikia. I thought it was a campaign ad. She twerked upside down and said, vote for me. I got to watch it again. I don't think it was her just twerking at a private party. We got to do better. Yeah, she did. She said, vote for me. So that was her campaign ad. But I mean, see, the thing about that is once you do something like that as an elected official, the electorate will tell you what they feel about it. So this woman, I think it was questionable. And if I was advising somebody, I wouldn't advise somebody to twerk upside down and show their butt cheeks and you want to get votes. I would say do some other things, but it's two things that many of us don't know. Number one, I don't know the demographics of her district. I don't know who those people are. I don't know who she represents and what their values are. That might be in line with them. I don't know. I know it sounds incredible, but I don't know. And then secondly, I know people trying to make this into she's like some kind of like mascot for black folks in the Democrat Party. I mean, no, she represents herself and her district. That's it. And let's wait and see, because she might get reelected. So if she gets reelected, then it doesn't really matter. That means the people that she represents like it. That's it. That's all. TC writes, Herschel Walker needs to be in a padded room looking at Gilligan Island all day. Yeah, Gilligan looking at Gilligan's Island all day. That way, right? Brent writes, Herschel Walker is a deadbeat daddy who's ashamed of all of his side babies. Really? You got a lot of side babies? Herschel Walker has told too many lies to be a U.S. senator to me. I mean, if you're lying about, I wouldn't say small stuff, but you lying about stuff before you become a senator. He lying about, his credentials. Then you're going to be a lying mofo once you become a senator, man. Be one of the worst things that Georgia could ever do, in my opinion. And I'm not even in Georgia. Just looking at the videos, that man is not qualified to be in the U.S. Senate. But Herschel Walker knows he ain't qualified. I mean, to be honest with you, Herschel Walker is like a lot of people. Man, to be honest with you, you got a lot of people sitting in positions of authority or leadership or whatever, and they ain't qualified. What's qualified got to do with it? Nothing. The way this world works is if you can get it, you got it. And once you get it, it's yours, period. Don't matter whether you qualified or not. Trump wasn't qualified. So a lot of people ain't qualified. So some people came to Herschel Walker and said, we know what, Herschel, we think you could be the next senator. They knew what they was doing. These are the true puppet masters. They knew this man ain't qualified, but he's got a name and he's black. And that might be enough to knock off Warnock down in Georgia. He's black. He's a sports hero. He got a name. He's got recognition. That's enough. So some people came to him and said, look, we think you'd be a great senator. He said, yeah, I'm going to go for this, like most people would. Most people would do that. And somebody came to you and say, you know what, we're going to make you the CEO of a new company. You might be thinking, I don't know how to do this. But you're probably going to do it if you think there's a benefit in you. So that's what Herschel Walker's doing. They showed him the yellow brick road. He's going to skip down it and try to get to see Oz. Simple as that. He ain't no different than a lot of people. So it's a whole lot of people that's not qualified in some of these positions around this city, around this state, around this country, around this world. But what's qualified got to do with it? Nothing. Qualified, schmalified. Means nothing. Anthony writes, vote for the booty. A person yelling can have devastating effects on a person running for office. She has to chill. Is that right? Donnie writes, her demographic doesn't matter. It was straight trash and foolishness. If she gets reelected, that says a lot about her constituents. And that's not a good thing. Right. But if they vote for her, they vote for her. Right? It is what it is. Terrace writes, the Republicans party knows he isn't. Yeah, they know he ain't qualified. It don't matter. Long as he gets on the ballot, long as he can win, they'll have another black face, right, for their whatever their plans are, and they'll run him just like they run the other fella. You know what I'm saying? Cam writes, people that like the so-called black woman twerking on a handstand is her demographic, evidently. People that like, it's not about whether I like it or not. I don't really care what this woman is doing, to be honest with you. I don't give a damn if she wanted to twerk on one leg. That's her. I don't feel no shame. I ain't like, oh, they making us look bad. Is that how you feel about it, Cam? Damn, they making us look bad. I'm not one of those black people that gets like that. I cut them shackles a long time ago, bro. Run around here feeling bad because somebody else black did something crazy. That's you. That's you. Oh, Tamaya Dawn, she making us look bad. No, she didn't. Jeff Pastor making us look bad. No, the hell he didn't. He ain't make me look bad. I look the same. All these shooting making us look bad. Nope. I ain't taking that one. I ain't gonna be able to do it. So you one of those guys, Cam, and if you are, bro. I mean, feel free to be you. But I don't feel bad about this woman. I don't feel anything. I thought it was outrageous, but that's just me thinking it. You know, she want to twerk. Matter of fact, I still might have the I'm trying to think. I had this. No, that's something else. Trying to think. Oh, yeah, here it is. Here it is. I still got it. Last Days of Common Sense. I think we did this show like I don't know, it was sometime last week. And my point was, it's another example that we live in the last days of common sense. And you can see it right there. And if it works, it works. It works, it works. Good morning to you. That's one reason the good old boys to keep winning. One reason why the good old boys keep winning inside the black community is because the black community is very dividable. The black community is very dividable. Very dividable. It is so easy to divide us. It don't really take a whole lot of effort, really. All you got to do is start feeding some ish, put in just a dose, just an ounce of realness, just a little bitty ounce of realness. And, you know, black people would divide themselves. You know what I'm saying? Black folks will divide themselves. Speaking of which, folks, I posted my friends over at Black Futures Lab. They are doing a survey on black voters. I took the survey. It took me all of 5 minutes. And they're trying to figure out your viewpoint on certain issues as they, as they work on their agenda. If you're not hip to Black Futures Lab, you should go check them out this morning. It's basically everything that Ice Cube said didn't exist, that existed way before Ice Cube. I don't see nobody out here with a black agenda. It's like, you haven't looked very hard, bro. All you got to do is Google black agenda on Google. It'll come up. You can't Google search. But they're back at it again. They've been around for a long time. And I think they're very serious about making some movement in terms of policies that affect black voters. But they're asking for black voters to give their input around the country. And then they'll take all this information. They do it every single year. They comprise a report, and they'll use that to determine policy goals and agendas and things like that. So Black Futures Lab this morning. Check it out if you're interested. But like I said, black folks are easily dividable. Black folks are very easily dividable. Very easily dividable. I mean, look at how COVID divided us. COVID divided us. You know, with the get the vaccine and not get the vaccine crowd. You know, I mean, the vaccine really exposed a lot of things. It really did. In terms of leadership, in terms of our own personal finances, your business finances. The issue was real. And, I don't know if black people in general, like in terms of a nationwide thing, I mean, I think there's some big policy goals that people agree with, but it's really state to state, city to city. It really is. Ronald writes, the only qualifications are age and residency. That's a damn shame. Joe writes, morning choppers. Donnie writes, she lacks good judgment and won't be respected enough by her colleagues to get stuff done in the State House. And yes, she's making us look bad and contributes to the way we get treated. She's a representative of her district. Speak for yourself, sis. She ain't making me look bad. I refuse to internalize that. I ain't doing it. I ain't gonna be able to do it. Sorry. I refuse to do it. I'll take the good and I reject the bad. That's just how I'm doing it. She's making herself look bad, if anything else. And, if for the people that she represents in her district, like I said, if you're an elected official, it's not about you anymore. It's about the people you represent. So, that's what I would say to her, like, sis, what about the people you represent? But like I said, we are living in the most narcissistic times in human history. There's never been a time in human history when you had so many people full of themselves and caught up with themselves. And, she was just an example of that. It's that social media culture. Everybody has a platform. Everybody's on the stage. Everybody's on some look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. That's just where we are. Social media is just feeding that. But we'll just see. If she gets reelected, what that tells us that somebody like it. Somebody likes it. I'm with you, Nate. Rather than vote for the twerk than some idiot like Walker or crazy QAnon Bobart, the sister was wrong, but if she's putting forth good policy, I say keep her in office. Right. I have not done an analysis on what kind of policy. I don't know what she believes in. All I know is that she posted this ridiculous video. And see, it also speaks to the ridiculousness of social media, because the same people that's criticizing her only criticizing her because she was upside down with her ass cheeks out. So to be honest with you, who's the real fool in this? Let me put myself in this. Like, I don't know what this sister has done in terms of policy. She might have been doing some incredible stuff, but we don't focus on that. Nobody hears about that. If she put out a video talking about policy, she'd have got 5 views on it. But when she's twerking upside down with her ass cheeks out, oh my God, everybody's talking about her now. So there's a certain level of culpability that shows like this, the media has, that social media has, in terms of promoting it. You know what I'm saying? Like, who knows? She could have been sponsoring all kind of super dope legislation. Ain't nobody talking about it. We ain't heard about it because it's boring. We don't care. But as soon as she shows some ass cheeks, oh my gosh, she goes viral. And yeah, maybe people are criticizing her, but she's getting visibility. So who's the real fool here? Who's really wrong? We wouldn't even know this sister existed if she wasn't twerking. So who's really lost their mind? You know what I'm saying? It's that social media age. You know what I'm saying? You go out there, man, listen. I already know how the world works, and especially I know how media works. I've been doing it for so long. People can say whatever they want to say, but the reality is that it just really depends. It's like, if you want to go viral, showing ass cheeks, twerking, doing something outrageous like that, you're more likely to go viral doing something like that than talking some real ish that people really care about, that really, really matters. It's just the truth. So everybody criticizing her, but pump the brakes. There's a reason why she did it, and it's working. Like, we're examples of that. I ain't no different. I put myself right up in there. Depending on the nature of what she was talking about, if it was like on some policy stuff, we wouldn't even be talking about it right now. Soon as she shows some cheeks, oh boy, it goes viral. Everybody know her name. Everybody talking about her. So, I mean, stop the hypocrisy, y'all. Let's keep it 100. This is the chop shop. We keep it 100 here. Let's keep it 100. You wouldn't even know. Many of us wouldn't even know who that sister was if she wasn't twerking. So it worked. You silly. Y'all funny, man. Y'all funny. We got John on the line. Hey, good morning, John. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Nathan Ivey and the good people of Cincinnati, as well as the good people around the world. And yes, those choppers. Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you, brother. Welcome.
Before we get to the pollsters, as you were talking about voting, you talking about this young lady. I don't know how young she is. So I don't even know her age. And I wasn't paying too much attention with her twerking until you brought it up last week. And I had to go to YouTube and see if I can get a glimpse of what everybody's talking about. And I kind of agree with you. I could care less. But I'll make you a bet she doesn't get reelected. I mean, everybody's having fun over it. She got her hits, A Bright Day. Just imagine if Oprah Winfrey and Gail decide to go to the beach, and Oprah does a hand twist or jump on her head and starts to twerk, her supporters would run the other way. I know she wouldn't do it, but you know, she's not going to get reelected. I could care less if she wants to make herself look like a clown, which is what I see, a clown. I mean, Nathan, you and your wife would be upset if little Buddha decided to go to the beach with her girlfriends and they decided to videotape her twerking or whatever they're doing. You would be highly upset. And I'm sure your wife would scold her so high, she wouldn't even think about it again. But this lady decided to film a twerk to get some votes. And just imagine if her brother came up behind her and started spanking that butt or grabbing that tush, she would be outraged. And that video would have never saw the light of the day. So this was a marketing ploy on her behalf. But somebody needs to sit her down and say, honey, your career is over with. You can forget it. Oh, yeah, you can have fun with this. Or stupid Tucker on Fox decide to give you some publicity. That's all that was about. I could care less. That's her business. But she looked like a clown. And I wouldn't even vote for her if I was in her district. Well, we'll talk about voting another day. But she's done. Put a sock in her. She's done.
Is she?
Basically, I look at it that way. Her career is over with.
We'll see.
You think her constituents are going to vote for her? See, well, number one,
I don't know it. That's what I'm trying to say, John, is that she's in Rhode Island. I don't have any idea about her district. I don't know her strength, her relationship, her ties to the community. I have no idea. So I don't know. I don't even know what people in Rhode Island are saying about this. I have no idea, so I'm not going to assume anything.
Well, I'm going to assume the, should we say, the dynamics of that Rhode Island district. Probably 40, 50% of Black community voted for her. She might have got 20, 30% of the whites. They wanted to see something different. I bet you, out of those statistics and numbers I mentioned to you, 70% of them will run the other way. Maybe 80% will run the other way. They will not vote for her. She's done. Put a sock in her. If she gets elected, wow, that's like putting stupid Trump back in office again.
I mean, Marion Barry got reelected after being caught smoking crack.
Well, yes, you did mention divide and conquer within the Black community. Yeah, some of us are. As long as you get a mouthpiece that can get up on the podium and divide and conquer and say, this is why they don't want us Black people in office, she's done. How stupid can you be to do a marketing ploy and twerk on top of your head with a bathing suit on? Her butt cheeks sticking out. Once again, if a brother came up behind her and spanked that butt,
what?
Or grab that tush.
This is something about the way you said spank that butt that made me very uncomfortable, man. Wait a minute, John. It's a family show, man. It's a family show.
Wait.
Calm down now. Let me take that image off. You're getting a little too excited.
How could this be a family show and you got people as well as yourself cursing every day? Well, that's another.
I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to do better.
But let's be real, Nathan. If a brother would have came up behind her and hit her or grabbed that tush, this video would have never saw it. She would have been outraged.
Yeah, but why are you even bringing up that hypothetical that didn't even happen? See, that's your perverted mind, John. Get your mind out the gutter, John. Get your mind out the gutter.
I'm thinking the outraged sisters would be if somebody would have been spanking her. She jumped off of that, came off of that sand and started screaming.
Spanking. What is you and this spanking, man? Okay, you've said it 3 times now. Can we move on away from the spanking?
I'm envisioning what she was doing and how it was negative on her part if that was all about marketing to get the vote.
Oh my
gosh. It was wrong. It was wrong what she did.
It was wrong now? I think it was a poor choice of judgment. I think she should think about the people she represents, about herself. But I mean,
thank you.
She's a young woman on the beach having some damn fun. I mean,
come on.
There are worse things that she could have did. She ain't up on corruption charges.
She allowed.
All right, then.
her-
So she just twerking on the beach with her girlfriends, and then she posted it. Sometimes you
It
shouldn't
was-
hit send.
It was all marketing, and I saw her make examples. I'm not apologizing for nothing. Oh, really? Oh, okay, fine. So you did what you wanted to do. That's your business. You're a grown woman, but you got people that you want to support you, and you want to decide to, well, I can get more votes, and then Tucker, idiot, decides he's going to take advantage of this. Oh, whoa.
Who now?
He hasn't even got her on the show yet. Give it some time.
Who are you talking about?
So Tucker Carlson.
Oh, Carlson, Tucker Carlson. Oh, okay.
He had it on Fox last week, and it
Of course
took
he
off.
did. Of course
It
he
took
did.
off. It took off on Fox. So when I saw the outtakes parts, the raw footage, she looked like clown. Well, she looks like a clown. A clown. You got voters, you got supporters that support you, voted you, put in your office. Now you want to rerun again? Come on, honey. Forget it. Pack your bags, grab your high heels, and go twerk for the rest of your life if that's what you want to do.
And go twerk for the rest of your life. Jesus Christ. Anything else, John?
Okay, now you were talking earlier about pollsters and voting and everything.
I was talking about the Black Futures Lab in particular.
Right. Yeah, well, now, I'm driving, but I'm gonna look at that site that you mentioned. I'm gonna look at them because I don't believe in polls, and it's always been divide and conquer within the Black community anyway. Yes, we all know that. But do you believe in polls, Nathan, or is it polls set up to divide and conquer the masses across the country? I'm curious to see your perspective on that.
Polling is a science. Polling is a science. And when done right, it can give you an accurate snapshot in the moment of how people feel about whatever they're being polled about. But it's a science to it. There's a certain method to it. And when it's done right, it can be a useful tool. And when it's done wrong, it can be a tool of use for propaganda, like everything else.
Well, the reason why I asked that, because sometimes on Saturday morning, Sunday morning, so I'm drinking my coffee or reading my newspapers. Yeah, I got to look at Fox, the enemy. I got to see what they're talking about. And Sunday morning, mainly Fox does it, where they go to these Bible Belt white communities and they're in the diner and that reporter, tell me your feelings about so-and-so and so-and-so. And they're taking pulses, but I never see them go into the Black restaurants, Black businesses, and whatever their questions or their polls that they're doing. They don't do that. And then they come back with these numbers. I'm like, where do you get these numbers from, pal? How do you come up with these numbers? You're only talking to the Bible Belt communities or states that you want to brainwash and sway the vote, but you never go into the Latino community, the Black community, the Indian community, the Asian community. It's all about controlling the minds. You say the lie and you say it over and over and over again. The idiots believe the lie. Oh, Trump did that, right? Well, excuse me. I got to stop calling him Trump. I call him the Joker now. He is the Joker. When the Joker was running his mouth, and a lot of people, once again, before John moved to Florida, he was living in the state of New Jersey. And we watched the Joker, AKA Trump, for 40, 50 years. And he said the lie over and over and over again. You say the lie over and over and over again, the idiots, the masses, believe the lie. So, when you look at these polls, mainly they do it around election time. You know that as well as I do, Mr. Ivey. Pollsters come up and even TV does it, CNN and MSNBC. Oh, our polls show that 70% of the Black vote is going to vote for the Joker, or 40% is going to split that vote. Hillary beat herself anyway because she didn't take it serious. Another day and another time. But okay, I got your perspective on the pollster. You mentioned it's a scientific theory. Well, okay, if you want to think that. But to me, and I'll end with this, it's all about controlling the minds. And every major election, they will control the mind. It's almost like people can't think for themselves. Divide and conquer. The chickens are coming home to roost. I'll leave it like that. Have a nice day. I think it's time for Zorro to come back.
Thank you, Zorro. Appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah, I will. Not today. You going to the pool today? Yeah, I don't plan on coming today. What pool? Okay. Just tell your mom. She'll tell me. What the hell did John? John is something else, man. Thank you for the call, John. That man is nuts. Completely. Where were we? Oh yeah, we were talking about the twerking lady. People making a bigger deal out of that than what it really is. I'm not one of her constituents. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, people criticizing her, but it worked. McKee. Yeah. All right, you want me to keep this? Okay. All right, I got you. Yeah, I'm not one of her constituents, and it worked. It worked. And so, like, we gotta be, let's be honest with it. It worked to a charm. Everybody's been talking about her. If she had proposed some legislation that even benefits the Black community, we wouldn't even be talking about it at all because it's not sexy enough. It was sizzle. And it's more, to be honest with you, the critiques, everybody want to critique her, but it's really a critique on our society and what we find valuable enough to talk about and to share and all those kind of things. That's really a part of the conversation as well. And people talk about I want this, but really they want that sizzle. And so you see that story and people gravitate to it because it's got some sizzle to it. And I'll leave it just like that. 513-873-7134. Hey, good morning, Jane. What up, Sean? What up? John just imploded on this call. What the F happened? What always happens? Tracy writes, meanwhile, today and tomorrow on Amazon Prime Day. Right. Exactly. That's what's really important. Ray writes, will Mark Meadows be prosecuted for fraudulent voting outside of where he lives? Probably not. Was that John with his Zorro sword or him smacking the booty of the Rhode Island State Congressman? See, there you go. You picking up on that, huh, Brian? You ain't gonna let that go. See y'all later. Be safe. John does not vote anyway. Right. That point. Graston says, what's up, Graston? John, you don't believe in voting, so shut up. Polling is pseudoscience. That's not true. Polling is not pseudoscience. Polling is a science when it's done accurate, when it's done correctly, with a certain methodology. But polling is nothing more than a snapshot of a people's opinions in that moment. And polling can also be used as a tool of propaganda. All those things are true. But polling is 100% a science, there's no doubt it. Kamika writes, embarrassed and outraged because she was on Tucker. That's that white gaze. Donnie writes, so now we got to be grateful that she's not taking bribes. Now, I'm not saying being grateful. I'm just saying put things in their proper perspective. You know, people acting like she out here and committed some kind of fraud or something, like some kind of big time crime. But maybe in the minds of Black people, she did, making us look bad. Ooh, you making us look bad. We ain't gonna get. Ooh, you go. Come on in here. Come on in. She don't. She made herself look bad. Period. I ain't internalizing none of that. I ain't internalizing anything negative. Now y'all can do what y'all want to do. If you want to internalize every negative thing that somebody Black does in America, you go ahead and have it. Do that. I ain't doing it. I'm off that boat. I got off that boat a long time ago. Long time ago. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. John started talking about spanking. I'm like, I suddenly got uncomfortable. I'm like, bro, I don't want to go here. Let me back up here because we got some more women in the room and I want to get your thoughts. So this thing with Roe v. Wade is going to have farther implications. There's a couple things I want to get your thoughts about. Or actually a few things I want to get your thought about, all surrounding like pregnancy and a woman's right to choose and stuff like that. And some of this stuff is coming from Ohio. So did you know that in Ohio, let me make sure I get it. I want to be accurate with you, that An Ohio lawmakers has introduced a bill banning abortion at conception unless a mother's life is at risk. And we're not surprised by this. I mean, since the moment Roe v. Wade became the law of the land, you've had these theocratic, very, very conservative folks out there that have wanted to restrict a woman's right to choose. This has been the battle since the beginning of it. And so now, with what has happened with Roe v. Wade taking away the federal protection or the constitutional protection of a woman's right to choose to have an abortion, now it falls back on the states. And we already know. And again, this is no surprise. If you think that this is all by coincidence and you haven't been paying attention, this is no coincidence that so many of the state legislatures in the states in this union are controlled by, Republicans, Republican governors, majority state legislators. There's a reason why. There's a reason why, because I think a lot of folks, most people's day to day is going to be affected by what happens in their state. But an Ohio lawmaker has introduced a bill banning abortion at conception. House Bill 704, State Rep Gary Click, Republican from Vickery. Where is Vickery? A man. It states that Ohio must recognize the personhood and protect the constitutional rights of all unborn human individuals from the moment of conception. Boom, boom, boom. Now, currently, abortion is illegal in Ohio if fetal cardiac activity is detected, which is around 6 weeks of gestation. The problem with that I'm hearing is that many women don't even know they're pregnant by 6 weeks. That just happened with a 10-year-old girl who had to go to Indiana to get a procedure. Many women don't even know. So there's women out there that might not even know. When they find out, it's too late to do something like that in the state of Ohio, which means what? You got to drive. So this is a class issue as well. This is really going to impact, Black women and women who don't have no money, right? Who can't afford to get in a car and drive away to another state or don't have the resources to do so. And it's just where we are right now. I would not be surprised if the governor of Ohio signs this. Now, why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he? So don't be shocked if you see this in the near future. And I don't see any change of this within our lifetime. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about something that might take 20, 30 years. It might take 20, 30 years for this. How do you feel about this? So also, I want you to consider what's happening down in Texas. This is a very interesting case. Down in Texas, on some of their highways, they have carpool lanes. And these lanes are designated for people that have multiple occupants in one car. And I think the reason behind it is because they want to promote ride sharing for various reasons, saves money, save gas, save the environment. So if you're going to be driving in these particular lanes, then you're supposed to have multiple people in the car. So this just happened. So a woman gets pulled over in Texas. She's in the carpool lane, and from the outside looking in, she appears to be driving alone. The officer tries to give her a ticket, and she fights a little bit. She pushes back on the ticket, should I say, and says, "Wait a minute, I'm not alone. Can't you see my baby's right here? She's pregnant." So apparently in the Texas law, so I was watching some folks on television about it within the last 24 hours, and they say that in Texas, a fetus is looked upon as a person. So why can't a person be looked upon as an occupant as it relates to one of these carpool lanes? And it's very, very interesting what's happening around us. And I want to get your thoughts about that. Should she have gotten a ticket? Should she not have gotten a ticket? At least one of the lawyers I saw this morning said that it was actually smart defense because there might be some loopholes in the laws. Now, I don't know if they have those carpool lanes in Ohio. I'm not aware of it, but I haven't driven through all the roads of Ohio. Maybe there are. But in states in which they have these, I think they call them HOV, high occupancy vehicle lanes, i.e. carpool lanes, you might see a change in the law, or should I say a clarification in the law as well. So think about it. Then one more thing, then we'll go straight to the phones. One more thing that I'm reading that you have to know about. I'm telling you, we're living in really interesting times. Is something called, let me get this straight. It's called Senate Bill 227. Senate Bill 226, should I say, not 7, 226. Are you hip to Senate Bill 226? This is a Democrat proposal. And Senate Bill 226 would force so-called deadbeat dads to pay for unintended pregnancies. So Senate Bill 226 would allow those who are pregnant to sue those who caused the pregnancy, regardless of the circumstances. A judge could award at least $5,000. Senator Tina Maratha, a Democrat from Columbus, said that this bill is particularly important after Roe v. Wade was overturned, forcing people either to leave the state for abortions or deliver babies from unintended pregnancies. The average cost of childbirth in Ohio is $15,000. And Maratha said, quote, "Too often this cost is solely the mother's to bear, especially in the case of an unintended pregnancy." So it ain't just about child support. It's about taking care of the cost of actually having the child. And I want to get your thoughts about that. Is that a good idea? Is it a bad idea? Now, let me talk directly to the men real quick. As I've been saying to men, you got all the power. As a man, you have a penis. You have all the power about where you and what you do with your penis. And being reckless, not thinking it all the way through, getting caught up in the moment, not using protection can cost you for a lifetime. Change your whole life. Change your whole life. And it is what it is. It is what it is. I can see some men will argue back and forth, but I mean, it is what it is. Ain't nobody forcing you to do this. It was all good when you was getting it. And then you just want to walk away afterward. So there's some lawmakers, and he's a Democrat. He's a Democrat lawmaker in the state of Ohio saying, nah, we ain't gonna just let you walk away from this. You ain't gonna just pick up with child support, negative. You're gonna pay some of the cost of bringing this child to the world as well. What do you think about it? Let me go straight to the phones. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Nate.
Donnie B, good morning. Welcome.
It's Donnie B. Hey. So a couple of things on this abortion thing. First of all, with that Democratic bill, the foolishness is real. I'm like, that girl need to go sit down and have several seats. Like, people just be wanting something to do. But I'm like, if you got a deadbeat dad, or somebody that's not taking care of their kid, when you get the judgment for the $5,000, where you getting the money from? How you gonna collect? And I'm like, it's now the man's fault that I'm pregnant. Like, we both weren't there. So I'm like, I just can't deal with the foolishness. I'm not even gonna give that proposed law the light of day. I'm just not. So as far as abortion goes, did you see Aftab on CNN yesterday?
I did not. What did he say?
So he was on CNN yesterday morning. Him and two other Black women talking about this whole abortion thing. And it pisses me off. First and foremost, what pisses me off is that the community, Black, white, or other, is all in outrage over abortion and the right to kill a baby or a fetus. But where's that same outrage and political activism for the other things that our community needs? So I'm like, I would really like everybody to keep that same energy and come out and protest and speak out and pass executive orders and ordinances on minimum wage raising it, on affordable housing, on affordable daycare, on college tuition, on racism and pay equity, and so many other things in our community that affect our quality of life. We choose to step up for abortion. That's our king. So it just really, morally, it messes with me that of all the issues that we could be so outraged about and come together about and take instant action, where's the instant action for Jalen Walker? Where's the instant executive order? Where's the instant termination of the police officers? Where's the instant action to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act? Like, I'm like, Biden, you can issue an executive order for abortion, but not for police brutality? Is this who we are as a people? We care more about the right to kill a child than we do about their lives or the people that are here struggling every day? So that's my first thing that gets my blood boiling. My second thing is I heard Aftab say this yesterday, and a lot of people are saying it. Oh my God, the overturning of Roe v. Wade is going to affect Black and brown women the most. Stop the lie. White women get more abortions than any other race in America. So please stop the fake narrative that Black women are out here killing our kids and our babies in record numbers. So we need anti-abortion laws and initiatives to be overturned the most because we're the most amoral. I hate that. They do that to us all the time. Oh, this is going to affect African Americans the most because they're the ones that, have the poorest health conditions. They did it with COVID. Everything always affects us the most because we're always the weakest link of every race in America. Stop. So will it have an economic impact on the small percentage of Black women that find themselves getting an abortion that may need to cross state lines that can't afford it? Yes. But the overturning of Roe v. Wade will not affect Black women the most because we don't get the most abortions. I'm offended by that. Third, so on the CNN show, after Aftab spoke, there was two other Black ladies, and they seemed to be like not 100% opposite, but the one Black woman was like, yo, unfettered discretion, women should be able to get an abortion no matter how late stage, no matter what the circumstance, it's their choice, mind your business. The other chicks seem to be more middle of the road, like, wait a minute, there need to be some boundaries. And I'm sitting here like, what's it going to take for y'all to compromise? Roe v. Wade has literally been overturned, and we are in a dire situation as a community for this thing for women. And people are still drawing lines in the sand and still not willing to compromise. People are still on TV like, you know what? You should have a 100% absolute right to get an abortion, no matter how far along you are, no matter the circumstance. That's what got us here. Same with the right. They're like, you know what? No abortions at all. So now a 10-year-old rape victim has to go all the way to Indiana to get an abortion. When are we going to wake up and compromise? I'm disgusted with both sides. Nobody meets in the middle anymore. I'm like, I got to meet in the middle for my job every day. I can't just draw a line in the sand and be like, nope, I'm not budging. I would get no results from my clients. So I'm like, I don't understand why we can compromise in other aspects of life, but why we can't come up with a middle ground for abortion that makes an exception for rape, incest, and medical necessity. It allows you to get an abortion within a reasonable time during pregnancy. That's not when you're 6 months pregnant and the baby is kicking and damn near walking out the womb. But it's not too early where the woman doesn't even know that she's pregnant. To me, this is not hard. What is the problem? What am I missing? Is it just me?
Well, I think what you're missing, I appreciate the flows, Donnie. I think what you're missing is you got extreme elements out there that want to push, when and if a woman can have an abortion to the absolute end. So you got these extreme religious conservative folks that don't want women to have an abortion no matter what, right. Period. Just like the bill has been signed into law, or not signed, but it's been introduced in Ohio. I mean, 6 weeks ain't enough for them. So I'd love to see some compromise. Again, as a man, I feel some kind of way talking about this. As I've said for 20 years, women should have this conversation and let us know what you're going to do, right? Y'all the ones that got to bear the brunt of this. But I think there should be some compromise. But we don't live in a world of compromise anymore. There ain't no compromise. It's 100% or nothing with some of these folks. I thought we had a compromise. Everybody thought we had a compromise. But then the Supreme Court said, well, no, we're going to reread it now. It's not explicitly in the Constitution, so it's not there, overlooking the power of the 9th Amendment, in my opinion. But so that's where we are. But when you was talking about Biden, I don't know if I think that's fair. I mean, I feel you on that, but I think Roe v. Wade is new, and so the outrage is new. So that's why we're hearing everybody talk about it right now. You know what I'm saying? But this too will pass.
How is it not fair? Where was our executive order when George Floyd Justice and Policing Act didn't get passed? I watched this raggedy dude come out on a press conference and say he was going to consider an executive order for police reform.
Yeah, but he did.
Well,
he did.
Where is it? Where's the executive order?
But somebody
we don't
correct me
have
on this,
one.
but Biden did pass an executive order on that back in
Not
May
for police reform.
Year.
No, he didn't.
I'm
he did not
sure
pass an executive order for police reform.
I'm pretty sure he did. I'm almost like 95% he did.
I would love to be wrong.
Biden
I would love to be wrong. He met with the family for lunch on George Floyd's birthday.
He did it 2 years after George Floyd was murdered. It was just a couple months ago.
Please prove me wrong and post an executive order for police reform from Biden. Please prove me wrong.
I mean, I can Google it and then
I heard him talk about it. I ain't seen a thing.
He did it this year. It was on the 2-year anniversary, and again, it's just one of the things that people just overlook. Like, that did happen, but it's just not getting a lot of play. And I'm not sure what the impact's going to be. You know how executive orders.
Yeah, what did it do?
But Biden, to my knowledge, Biden did sign an executive order on about police reform, and it was this year on the 2-year anniversary of the murder of George Floyd.
I heard him take somebody to lunch, and I heard him promise that he would consider an executive order. And I've been sitting over here waiting. I haven't seen, a thing. And then I'm like, same thing locally. I'm like, okay, AFTAB, you're passing the local ordinances about abortion. What about affordable housing? Our people don't have no place to stay. They can't afford to live in Avondale anymore. They can't afford to live in Oakland Ryan anymore. Blacks get paid 27% less than whites in Cincinnati, and it's been that way for decades. Where's your ordinance on that? Like, of all the things for you to come out on, abortion, my guy, you know how many problems we got in this city? But that's me. So I'm like, is this important? Yes. But the level of outrage that I'm seeing, I'm like, so y'all sleep on every other issue in society? But that's me. So yeah, I'm like, I would like everybody to have that same energy.
I posted a link from the ACLU where people can check it out, where they talk about it. With that Biden
talk about what?
Executive order.
Yeah, about police reform. Yeah, I want to see that.
Yeah, I just posted a link. So yeah, that did happen. So yeah,
well, we don't know. Like, look, we got to read the executive order and see if it does anything.
Right.
So
right, but he did sign it. So it's how it is. You got to walk and chew gum. It's 1,000 issues. You got to deal with all of them. And right now, that Roe v. Wade and abortion rights, that's hot right now. And so.
Well, and that's another thing that gets you. You know it's hot right now because it affects white women the most. They don't want everybody to know, but they're the ones that be getting an abortion. They're the ones that be so conservative, like, you know what, we don't believe in killing a fetus until their daughter gets pregnant.
Well, it's that, but it's also, since they kicked it back to the states, now, cities, municipalities, states, they're struggling to figure out, what do we do now? And they got to do it right now. If you're the city of Cincinnati, you got to do something right now because you see what the Republicans are doing on the state side. So it's a hot issue right now.
And here's my issue. What are they going to do?
Right this second. So I get it.
Because they were at the Hamilton County Courthouse last week and the week before, and I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. You should be in Columbus. That's where the Supreme Court is. That's where the Ohio legislature is. That's where the problem is. That's where the laws are getting introduced. So why are y'all protesting outside the Hamilton County Courthouse that has zero ability to make any of the changes that we want to see concerning abortion laws? Make it make sense.
I don't know.
Why are we in Columbus?
And the other thing is, I think it does come down to black women's health. Because
you think?
Absolutely, 100%. Because of the disparity. We saw it with COVID. This issue ain't equal. Black women don't get the same health care as white women do. I mean, you got the folks over at Queens Village. They've been on top of this for years. The infant mortality rate of black children, the survival rate a year after having a child for black women, those outcomes are different because of the disparities all along the line. So COVID,
but that's totally different than getting an abortion.
But I'm just saying,
I'm a black woman and I have some of those health disparities that they talk about. That has nothing to do with getting an abortion.
Yeah, but I'm gonna get to that. So COVID
I have fibroid tumors,
and it just exacerbates the disparities that were already there. And I haven't done a deep dive on this. I've read some articles here and there, but I think the health issues comes in postnatal care of black women, right? It's just a difference in the health outcomes that black women face in general for a lot of reasons than white women. And,
right, but we got to stop the narrative that black women are out here getting abortions for medical necessity. That's not what the bulk of us are doing.
Yeah, but
some get abortions out of the medical necessity, but most don't. White women get more abortions than anybody else.
Yes,
this is a white woman problem. That's why they care. You really think if this is a black woman problem, white women will be outside like that?
That's true. That's true. But that doesn't mean that it impacts our relationship, our community different, and that we shouldn't care about how it impacts us differently.
We should, but I want them to stop saying that it's a black woman issue. It's not. Abortion is a white woman issue. Black women get abortions too, but they get it in record numbers. They did the same thing with welfare. Oh, blacks need to get off welfare. Well, you know who was on welfare the most? Jews.
White people.
They came over here from the Holocaust.
We already know. Absolutely.
So I'm like, we need to get our facts straight, and we need to stop letting them, you know, they try to paint African Americans like we have the least moral compass. And I don't like it. Well, they try to paint us like we kill our kids, we're lazy, we don't work, we don't believe in marriage, we don't all these things. Like everything is always a black problem. Like we need to be careful how they paint us.
100%.
And we need to let people know our women aren't out here getting abortions in record numbers. We're not. They are. And that's why that's the real rub. And they want to use us for the agenda. But you know, white women ain't never came out in droves to help black women do a damn thing. They actually are part of the problem. But now abortion, they're like, oh, it's a black and brown woman problem. Come help us. All right. I'm like, stop the lie. But that's me. That's all I got on this Tuesday.
That's all I need.
I don't want to blow up your phone and become John and just be on here rambling.
Talking about some Zorro.
Talk to you later.
All right, Donnie, take it easy. Appreciate the call. Always good to hear from Donnie B. Is it just me with Donnie B? Always. So that's how I look at it. You know, that abortion thing is so difficult. And I know I don't look at it. It's just some things aren't my business. You know, it's not my business what a woman does with her body. It just ain't my business. Some people say it's killing a baby. When is it a baby? When is a person a person? It just becomes very complicated unless you're a scientist. And and even if you're a scientist, like when does the soul become infused with the body? You know, I don't know. This stuff is so complicated. It really is. It's so complicated, man. It really is. It comes down to opinion and feeling and how you feel about stuff. But in general, I'll say it again. I am not for the killing of anybody. You know, I'm pro-life. But I believe in a woman's right to choose, because when you take away that right to choose, it can have deleterious effects, you know, on the lives of women's lives and the outcomes of their lives and how they want to live their life. If you get pregnant and you don't want to have a baby and you don't want to be a mom, guess what? I don't want you to be a mom. I don't want you to be a mom. If you don't want to be a dad, I don't want you to be a dad, because you're probably going to be a terrible mom and a terrible dad. You're going to raise a little menace to society that's going to go out there and hurt somebody because you don't have that love. You don't have that desire to be a parent. I don't want people to be parents if they don't want to be parents. I don't. I think that's very, very dangerous to force somebody to bring a child into this world and they don't want to bring a child into this world. That's very dangerous for that child and for our society. It's very dangerous. And that's just how I feel about it. As I said, I think that men should have the right to relinquish their parental rights within a certain amount of time. That's right, ladies. I know you don't like that idea. That's right. If you say he don't want to be there, he should be able to sign a piece of paper and not be there for the rest of his life. But I also think that if a woman gets pregnant and she decides she wants to terminate a pregnancy, it doesn't matter what the father says, because that's her body. You know what I'm saying? Man, listen, there's very few people out there that's willing to bring children into your home that you didn't create biologically, meaning you're adopting a child. I have nothing but respect for those people that do that. That's a hard thing to do, to open up your home to a child. That's a hard thing to do. And you got an empty nest, and then you're going to fill your nest up with baby birds that you didn't give birth to, and then you're going to raise them and take care of them. Man, those are salt of the earth people, man. We need more people like that. The second thing is, this world is expensive. People have sex because it feels good. People don't have sex because they in love. Raise your hand if every person you had sex with, you loved them. If you raise your hand, that's very rare. That is very rare. Most people have sex because it feel good. She looking right. Look at them hips. Look at them curves. I wonder what that be like. Ladies, same thing. Whatever you look at on a man. You ain't having sex because you in love. You having sex because you in lust. It feel good. I want to feel that. You ain't have no desire to have a child with this person. Now, baby here. You don't love this woman. You don't love this man. There's something to do. Come on, man. That's the reality for most people. And it's very, very sad because, you bringing kids into it, but it's hard for me to tell somebody that you got to raise a kid. Oh, you got to have this kid, and I'm not dropping off no money. I ain't paying for no diapers. I ain't watching nobody. I ain't paying for no formula, nothing. Just on some morality type stuff. That's a really, really, really hard thing to do. I can't do that. I won't do that. But this is the world that we live in. I would not be surprised if abortion is completely outlawed in Ohio. And if that's what happens, then that's what happens. Deal with it. You can always move away from Ohio. You ain't got to live in Ohio. You can always move away if you don't like the climate here. I don't have to live in Ohio. I could pack up and move anywhere in the country I wanted to. Many of you could do the same thing. If you really wanted to, you could leave. You're here because you choose to be here. Your family, established, maybe your kids in school or something. You got a business or something like that. You know what I'm saying? You got your favorite bar or whatever. I don't know what's keeping you here, but I'm just saying you could easily move away. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning and welcome.
Hey, good morning, Nate. This is Brent down in Dallas. How are you doing today?
What up, Brent? Good morning. I'm doing well.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Hey, you brought up the story about the lady down here in the Dallas area driving in the HOV lane.
Yeah.
While being pregnant. I know exactly the area where cops sit for that particular HOV lane. Because most HOV lanes are one lane. You don't have room to have another car pass through. But in this area, they specifically made it wide enough for about a little less than a quarter-mile stretch for cops to sit there. And during rush hour traffic, they wait and they're looking in the vehicles to see if they could see at least two people in the vehicle. And if they don't, they flag you over and wave you on over, which is so hilarious because that is the only part along that, I want to say, and it's about a 10-mile stretch before you hit the 635 loop around that goes, partially around Dallas. But with that, it is there in the Plano area, and the cop gave her the ticket. She's going to try to fight it, but with the way the law is written, it has a carve out to where the baby actually has to be, outside of the womb, essentially in a car seat for it to be considered a second occupant. So the law already, is set up to, to keep essentially pregnant women from claiming, HOV lane status. So I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I ain't mad at her for trying to use that defense. But yeah, I think that's not going to go anywhere in that particular one. But also I want to hit on probabilities and statistics as it relates to polling. And part of my background, I'm an engineer and Six Sigma black belt. So we deal with probabilities and statistics all the time, but from a manufacturing standpoint, when we're looking for defects and things along those lines. But with the polls, it's a snapshot in time. Yes, it is. But it all depends on who the snapshot is and who the people you're polling. Because I don't know hardly, I think I maybe know one black person that has ever participated in any of these Harris polls, Gallup polls, Fox News polls, or any of these polls. So now your data isn't consistent. It isn't representative of the particular area, because down here in Dallas, perfect example, down here in Dallas area, if you were to do a poll to find out how many people like Skyline chili or think Skyline chili is actually chili, that number would be low. But if you take that same poll up in Cincinnati, it's going to be higher. Or and there's also something called statistical intervals. So I equate that to, yeah, I grew up playing baseball. I love baseball. So a strike zone. So there was an old umpire named John West, and his strike zone was notoriously tight. You know, he didn't call any, if it wasn't on the white part of the plate, it wasn't a strike. But other umpire strike zone, they go into the black and a little bit beyond the black. So it depends on the amount of data you have. The stratification of the data is going to be the higher of your confidence interval that the data is going to be more likely to be correct. But deals a lot with models and statistics, and it's also like being a weatherman. If a weatherman says there's a 5% chance of rain, he's going to be correct because he only gave it a 5% chance. So if it rains, he's correct. If it doesn't rain, well, I only said it was a 5% chance of rain. So it depends on that confidence interval, and it can be used as a guide, but it can't be used as the gospel, you know, as evident with, you know, how Donald Trump got in office and most of the polls, you know, showed that he wasn't going to win, but they didn't have the samples in the right areas. And then once he got put out of office, same thing there. They didn't interview or they didn't poll a lot of the black people, say in Georgia, which put him over the top, and all the Latino folks in Arizona. So yeah, that's my only pushback on the whole statistical thing. There is an element of pseudoscience, and you can make the numbers say whatever you want to.
No.
And
what do you mean there's an element of pseudoscience? You didn't.
It's an element. Well, the reason why I say that, because you can make the numbers say whatever you want to. You know, we had a saying that there's liars, there's damn liars, and there's statisticians. So depending on how you want, what you can have a conclusion before you have your data, and you can force your data to match your conclusion.
We know that, Brent, but what I'm trying to say is, and I acknowledge that, but what I'm saying is polling is a science. Polling is a
pseudoscience. It's not a pseudoscience,
Brent. It's not a pseudoscience. It's an actual political science that it can be.
Political science is a pseudoscience.
Yeah, but polling is an actual science when it's done.
It's a discipline, but it's not a.
You can pervert anything. But see, I got to make this distinction, because what will happen is people will walk away from this thinking every poll is inherently wrong, and that's just not true.
No,
it depends. It depends on who's doing the polling and what their methodology is and what's their reasoning behind it. So you're right. You can take some numbers and make it say whatever.
It depends on your confidence interval.
But polling in and of itself is a science that can be very accurate in predicting human behavior and can be very accurate in predicting
that's dangerous, because
the next presidents. It's very accurate.
See, that's dangerous, because that same polling and pseudoscience leads to negative policing outcomes in black communities, because they will look at the data. They will use. We're talking about probability of statistics that directly related to polling, but this is indirectly related. They'll say, well, man, all the crime has happened in black areas, so we need to have more police officers there, or we need to put ShotSpotter all over the black community, when around the country, ShotSpotter ain't solved a damn crime. In fact, they've used the data and perverted it and changed it manually in order to convict black people. So that's what I'm saying. If you want to call it a science, that's good and everything, but I'm glad you understand and recognize that it's all dependent on the data and how it's gathered. But when that information isn't shared on how what is their formula? Are they using a Fourier transformation in order to?
It depends on who
but most people, but 90.
It depends on who the authors of the poll is, Brent. It also depends on what they're trying to do. So sure, there are plenty of polls
95% of people don't understand what goes into getting a poll.
I don't know what you're saying, because I'm trying to make a point. We both can't talk, so let me get this out and I'll get the floor to you. So what I'm saying is, polling is a science when it's done right for the right reasons. But can you take polls and pervert them or turn them into tools of propaganda? Absolutely. Absolutely, you can. because it,
So
with some of these polls, it matters the way the questions are asked. It matters the way, if you got multiple questions, it matters the way, the order in which you answer the question, or you ask and present the questions. Like, all of that is a science. Years and years and years of
no.
data, and years and years and years of people really studying all of that goes into play.
Oh, but even with that, Nate, if it was a science, that means that with every poll that's out there, if they were using the same methodology, they all should get the same results.
But they're not
and
always
we
using
know
the same
that depending on
methodology.
exactly, so it's not a science. There is no repeatability in it. There is no repeatability. Everybody should. If I say 2 + 2, and you say anything, then the answer is 4, then something is wrong. Something is seriously wrong.
Said that.
When you have all these different, I said as an example.
Yeah, but
what I'm saying is that if you have all
the reality of what's going on, there's a
yes,
reason why
does,
most
because
campaigns that have money to do so do polls. There's a reason why. Because it's a snapshot.
It's a bellwether, but it's not
something.
an exact science. Yes, and the polls told Hillary Clinton, don't bother going into Wisconsin because you have it wrapped up. But the data was flawed. And my thing is, when I'm saying the data is flawed, they didn't get a big enough statistical example or sample size in order to have better confidence in their outcome. So
I don't know if that was the case.
I understand.
Clinton. I mean, I don't know if you're saying that, but to my knowledge, I've never read that.
She said she had Wisconsin wrapped up. If you are polling poorly in a state that you need to win and you don't go there, either that's outright negligence or ignorance.
Well, that's not about the polls. That's about the human beings that disregarded what the polls
that's
were
about
telling
the polls.
you. But we're going back to the polls. I hear what you're saying, bro, but you are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You are absolutely wrong about this. Polling
Nate,
is a
background?
science, and there's nothing you're going to say that's going to convince me otherwise. It's just what it is.
Okay, well, that's cool.
Do
you have a math or engineering background?
I do not.
Study statistics?
Do you have a political science background?
All right. We're not talking political science. We're talking statistical data.
Sir. We are talking about political science.
Political science and statistics are two different things.
Yes, they are.
But no,
when you get a degree in political science, guess what? You take several courses on polling. Did you know that?
But but that's probably at a 30,000 foot view. But when you get down to the 10,000 foot view, when you're actually dealing with the math of the the numbers, that's totally different.
All I'm telling you is that I didn't get my degree background is not in what you asked me is not in engineering or anything like that. But my degree is in political science. I have studied polling. I have sat in classes and with professors who've written books on polling. And what I'm here to tell you is polling is a science. Period. Now you can take anything,
call it what you want, and now with those people taking those polling classes,
propagandize it. You can misuse anything, but that doesn't mean that polling, when it's done right, cannot tell us something about how people feel about upcoming events or trends or whatever. You ever heard of the Pew Research Center? PEW.
Who determines what is right? Who determines what is right? How the questions are formed and everything. Who determines that?
The political scientists. That's who.
The people doing the polling.
I mean, I don't know why it's so hard for you to understand that political scientists study polling data over decades and decades and decades. They literally sit down and study every word. I'm telling you what I know, Brent. They study this.
Do you have a financial portfolio or have an investment? Or anytime they invest your money, they say what? Past results does not equal future results.
You're
essentially
mixing things now.
Same thing with past trends in polling and everything else. We have demographic shifts that occur that can change polling from even 5 years ago, where even here in the Dallas area where we've had a ton of people move from California. So that is changing the political makeup of the larger cities, which is what really has a lot of the Republicans scared as hell. And that's
Brent,
why they do so much gerrymandering.
All I can tell you, man, is that there are people across industries, but especially in the world of politics, that spend millions of dollars to conduct polls. And there's a reason why
Yes,
they
they
do
do.
that. There's a reason why they do that. And they're going to continue to do that. There's a reason why. Because trying to predict what future humans are going to do in their trends is very valuable. And they're going to continue to do that. So I think I understand what you're saying. I mean, I don't refute that. I mean, anything can be perverted. Of course, polling can be manipulated. Absolutely. But for anybody to say that it's not a science, they're wrong. They're just wrong. And we can just agree to disagree on that.
Oh, yeah. We're definitely going to disagree on that one. Yeah, because the definition of science, then we have to go back to that, because political science isn't a science. They just call it a science. Just like forensic science was based off of anecdotes and old wives' tales that got people convicted and murdered.
It's nothing like that. Political science is nothing like that. It's nothing like that. But you didn't study political science. So I don't expect you to know. You didn't study
probabilities and statistics. Right. And I wouldn't expect you to understand the details of that side of it. So that's cool.
Right.
It's all good.
Right. I'm telling you what I went to school for. This is what I know.
Yeah, and I'm telling you what I went to school for.
And you're telling me what you went to school for. Exactly.
Yeah.
But polling is something it's a tool in the world of politics, and even larger than politics. It's got larger implications for that. But that's just the reality of it, man. And I get it. I get it, because you read these polls and it seems like they're biased, and they probably are. They probably are. A lot of that stuff might be biased. It takes a highly trained individual. And I'm not saying that's me. It takes a highly trained individual to look at a poll, to look at the results, to look at the methodology, and to be able to determine whether that's, an accurate poll or if it was done correctly. Most people don't have that knowledge, but that is knowledge. You're trying to act like it's not knowledge. There's knowledge behind it. There's people that stake their whole careers off of that.
I did not say it wasn't knowledge. I said it was
pseudoscience.
Science without.
You said it was pseudoscience.
I said polling is pseudoscience.
No, it's not, sir.
100%. Absolutely. It's not repeatable.
It is repeatable,
or you wouldn't have you wouldn't have these polls from different organizations that give you drastically different results.
Yes, you would,
if it
sir.
was. No, you wouldn't.
Absolutely, you would.
No, you wouldn't.
Because like I told you, human beings will take any and everything and distort it and turn it into wherever they want it to be used for. And polling has been used for that and will continue to be used on that. It takes a very
I'm not saying that it hasn't been used for that. I'm just saying it's not science. Because
to be able to look at a poll, to look at what's being presented and be able to tell you whether this is something that has outcomes that we should actually be invested in. Most people don't have that knowledge. You just don't. You haven't been taught. You don't know.
Exactly.
So you're looking at it and you're thinking, oh, all polls are the same, but all polls are not the same. They're not.
Nate, I've already told you, I know that because they use different methodologies. There's different formulas that they use in order to come up with their data. Because a lot of these polls, they may sample, say, like for the state of Ohio, they may sample 1,500 people, and now you're extrapolating out those 1,500 data samples in order to come up with a poll based off of past historical data, which may or may not necessarily hold true to what is occurring today.
Yeah, but in most cases it does, because the best way to determine the future is by what? The best way to determine what somebody's going to do in the future is by what they did in the.
No, it's not.
Finish it for me.
Nate,
hold on. Wait. What'd you say, Brent? You saying what now? The best way to determine what somebody is likely to do in the future is based upon what that person did in the what? In the past. So how you gonna say that polling can't look at trends for, in some cases, decades, and not use that to make a determination about what humans might do in the near future? Come on, man. This is basic.
Okay, Nate. You're right.
I know I'm right.
You're right.
I know.
In your own mind, you're right, but that's cool. That's cool.
It's not in my own mind. I'm not trying to be right.
It is in your own mind.
I am right.
Nate. Yeah, okay, Nate. All right. Well, hey, we've gone around and around.
It's been fun.
And it's getting hot here But yeah, no, it's all good. I love the discourse,
Absolutely.
love the back and forth. And I'll still continue to listen and still continue to call in, and especially those folks who call in with the nom de plumes won't put their real name to the crap that they're saying online and on the phone line. But that's cool too.
That's
That
all
is
good.
cool.
It's all good. Hey, Brent, thanks for the
Yep.
call, man. I appreciate you.
Hey, you take it easy.
Yeah, most def. That's Brent. That's my brother right there. And sometimes we're gonna disagree. It's all good. But again, I just spent too much time studying this stuff to say anything different. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you 100%. 1000%. It depends. It really depends. Some of these polls, they are built to mislead you. They're built to mislead you. And you can build the poll, and it goes to the folks. It gets so detailed with these polls. It speaks to the question, the placement of the question. It's I mean, when I tell you that it's deep, I'm talking about it's word by word. I mean, and you got people that have spent their whole lives dedicated to polling and accurate polling, and these folks get deep into all of this stuff, man. I'm not that deep into it. I just remember what I remember. And again, looking at the trends of human beings is very valuable because it'll give you some indication of what those human beings might do in the near future. Now, nobody has a crystal ball. Come on now. Nobody has a crystal ball that can tell you 100%, but they can get damn close. They can get damn close. And you got some of these polling outfits that when you look back at like at some of the things that they said about like the presidential elections, some of these folks have been spot on for decades. They might have been wrong about Trump, but that was different. Trump was there was a disruption in the game. You had the Russians, and he just had a really unique moment. The first serious female presidential candidate. A lot of people didn't vote for Hillary because she was a woman, but they were too afraid to say that because they know it made them look sexist. So they didn't respond to the polls, or they lied on the polls and things like that. It's a lot of folks, man. That 2016 was something different, but it is what it is. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Morning, Nathan. It's Kev on the cell. How are you, sir?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing great. How you doing, Kev? Welcome.
It's a great day for a great day, my brother.
Yes, it is.
I have a master's degree in what y'all was talking about. It's absolutely science. There's predictability. There is if you can't get predictable outcomes, then that means that the poll is flawed. But you should be able to recreate the outcomes, and that's just like any other scientific method. And I'm gonna leave that alone real quickly because really that went on for a very long time. But Brett, man, you need to and so I did take statistical analysis, and I also took political science, and political science is a science. It's a behavioral science, but it is absolutely a science. Nate, I think that a lot of the banter that's going on about the productive rights is missing the point. The most important part of all of this is not whether or not we're going to allow folks to have abortions. That's another, I tell everyone, I think that that's a whole nother subject. That is a question of criminality. And so that's different. But the right for a woman to do whatever it is that she chooses to do with her body, and me as a man, not to make that assumption or presumption for her, is an inalienable right. I was watching this thing yesterday, and it was Malcolm X, who was talking about the 3/5 of a man in the Constitution. We've established that we're not 3/5 of a man. We are fully human, and we have the same inalienable rights as anybody else. And if you deny somebody else's inalienable rights, then you are guilty of a crime, right? That is a crime. You're not allowed to obstruct someone else's rights. So I think we need to get back to the main message here. It's not about whether or not there should be limits, because we know that there should be limits. It's not about whether there should be accessibility in certain instances, because there should be accessibility. We need to get back to the core thing, man, of this is about folks' rights. And what am I going to say next, Nathan? Because you know what it is. Rights are supported by your right to vote. And in November, which is only 4 months away, you're going to get a chance to cast a vote and make an actual difference. Because all of this banter, as entertaining as it is, as interesting as all of this stuff is that's going on a national stage, really the most important thing is that we protect our rights. I was listening to the Sunday shows, and they were asking one of the congressmen, how do they feel about settled law? And he was saying, well, certain things may not be settled. Oh, by the way, your right as a black person to vote may not be settled. It ain't even a law. It's an amendment. It's a ruling, and they have to vote on it every so often to determine if you're going to be allowed to vote. So yes, you very easily could become 3/5 of a man again, depending on what you do. And stay focused and stay winning, because this alternative reality that some folks gonna try to push us into, I'm not interested in it. My daughter's not interested in it. Nate, by the way, congratulations. I saw that post on your daughter becoming a senior, and mine as well, right? They are the posterity, yeah? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, that's who we're supposed to, go ahead, man. You know what I'm saying? That's who we're supposed to be looking out for, bro. It ain't us. I don't know about you, man, but I know every day I'm dying. Hear me? I'm getting closer to that last step, and I'm hoping that, not hoping, I'm working towards making sure that when I take that last step, I set it up for my daughter. But I don't want to set it up for my daughter where she may have a bank account and still is considered chattel. That might not work out well for her. I don't see that as being a positive outcome. So, I think we got to get back to the focus, man. This ain't about Republican and Democrat, as much as people want to make it that. Actually, if you're being honest, abortion has nothing to do with your political affiliation at all. We're talking human rights. And so if they're human rights, they're everybody's rights. This is really about rights, and whose right is it to determine, and then what are their outcomes. So, Brett, from one scientist to another. Oh, by the way, I also have a degree. Part of my bachelor's degree is in physics. So stick that in your craw, bruh. I know about force and matter. But we just got to stay focused, man, and keep it moving forward. You know what it is, man. Get and give the bag at all times. That's got to be the plan, man. And you can't give the bag if you ain't got no rights. And that's for real. Be blessed, bruh. Love the show as always. Donnie, I'm waiting for you to come back with your show. I'm missing it. So, whenever you get around to it, I'm ready to tune back in. But keep doing what you're doing, Nate. Appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you too, bro. And I'm waiting too. I can't wait for Donnie to get back. Unique voice in Cincinnati. A unique voice. And her voice is distinct aside from anybody else. Really in the country, if we're gonna be real with it. But and I told her that. I hope she's still listening now. She hears that. I mean that 100%. I don't waste my time. I don't have a lot of time to work with people that I don't think are worth it. I'll just be straight honest with you. You know what I'm saying? I don't really have a lot of time for it. So I really want to focus my time on people who I think have something to say. And if Donnie wanted to be, she could be one of the best talk show hosts in the country. Hey, good morning. I'm here. But her interest is otherwise. But she brings something to the table that I don't bring, that I don't hear anybody bringing, and just very unique. I mean, Cincinnati has so much talent. Coming straight to you in a second, caller. I'm dressed. It's super cold in here. We've had the AC in all day. It gets real cold in this room. I keep it that way because I got all kind of equipment in here. But I'm glad you said that, man, because Donnie needs to hear that. Her voice is desperately valued. I know there's women that hate on women. It's very hard to see, especially when you got a strong constitution and you feel confident about yourself. Sometimes I've noticed this. And I would even say this with in terms of what I've noticed and how people interact with Donnie is like when you get a woman that's strong, other women sometimes have an issue with that, and it's the strangest thing in the world for me. I don't really understand that. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't care. I'm gonna rock with her until she don't want to do it no more, and because I think that it's just a great example and just a unique voice. And as you can hear, she got her own viewpoint that's separate from mine, which I love, and we need to hear different viewpoints. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope she's listening, Donnie. Hope she's listening. But yeah, I miss Christian too. Christian's got some things he's working on. Like everybody's got stuff going on. But I'm here to help and amplify, those voices. In some ways, I was just telling the wifey this morning, I'll be honest with you, in some ways, I enjoy doing that more than I even do on my own show. I've been doing this for a long time. But helping other people, man, has been an unexpected joy, a real joy. And I got more in the pipeline for you. So just stay tuned. Watch this space. We got some new voices that we're working with. What's this? Okay. All right. So yeah. And I don't have an update right now with Brother Christian Boykin, but when I do, I'll share it with you. Sometimes we got to step away. They got life happening and all kind of things. But the overall mission to amplify our voices never ends. And it may not seem like it, but believe me, I'm working on doing just that on multiple levels. And I'll share with you when I have something to share. For now, let's go back to the phones. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you, comrade. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Hey, it's funny how one of your callers tried to tell you that what you studied wasn't a science when it's called a science.
Right. He's like political science and science. This is just people that just don't know. That's all. I mean, I don't know everything. Shit, I'm dumb on a lot of shit. So
I don't know about engineering.
Right.
But I don't claim to know engineering. I don't claim to know what it's about. But for somebody on the outside to say, well, what you study ain't a science, who has never studied it, it's just the hubris of some people, to think that they have a monopoly on all knowledge.
That's my brother right there. I hear what you're saying. I mean, we disagree. We just disagree.
Yeah,
we just disagree. That's it.
Well, disagreeing is one thing, but disagreeing on facts is another thing. I mean, when people want to say that something that's factual isn't factual, then it's like, come on, bro. Like, you ain't even studied the shit. How do you know? I mean, look, you can look at the last, let's just take the last 12 years of Ohio voting statewide. Who has been in charge? Republicans have won statewide all the time, right?
Yeah,
so now, as we go into November, if you study the polls, study the numbers, and you put polls out there, what do you think these polls are going to show? They're going to show that probably Republicans are going to win. And what's the end game? They're probably going to win based upon past history. Like you indicated, people can't just look at Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, the polls they had in 2016, and say, oh, because that poll's wrong, no polls are reliable or scientific. That's bullshit.
Yeah,
there's always going to be a blip in the matrix. Right. Like Brent's stuck on the fact that one poll, that one slate of polls in one particular year means that all polls are unreliable or unscientific. That's stupid. That's incredible. And it just shows a lack of sophistication in that whole field. Just say you don't know, bro. Don't be like, well, it's not a science. That irritated me this morning. I wasn't even going to call this morning. But that irritated my core. Some people just think that they got a monopoly on all knowledge. Bro, you in Texas, bro. Republicans run everything down there. You tell me, go ahead and find a poll and show me that Beto O'Rourke's going to win. I'll show you a faulty poll.
Okay, anything
based
else?
on history. Man, that's about it. Oh, at Warren County. Now, people want to talk about black folks being on the chopping block for the police. You see that white boy in Warren County got killed that escaped from River City, right?
Right.
I just wanted to point that out too. Hey, white folks can get it out here too.
Oh yeah. Like AB, the police and Adrian Broner got something in common. Anybody can get it. Anybody can get it.
It's not limited.
I've seen white teenagers with Down syndrome get killed by police on some, they didn't respond fast enough. Seen the aftermath of it. Homeless people. I mean, it just depends on the officer and what's going on. You know, but black folks, we're the tip of the spear, make no doubt about it, but anybody can get it. It depends on the officer, depends on what you're doing, you know, depends on that kind of stuff. But, you know, if they tell you to stop and the guns are drawn, buddy, you better listen, or don't listen and then be ready to deal with what comes afterward.
I'm just saying the thing in Warren County, that was not an anomaly. I don't want people to think that that's an anomaly. Oh, a white person got killed by the police. It's not an anomaly. It happens every day.
Yeah, it does. It certainly does. I know a lot of black folks don't want to hear that because they want to believe that it's us. And it is us. Right. We're the tip of the spear. But I've seen all these videos, man. Man, I've seen a white dude in a hotel crawling on his belly. He reached back to scratch his belly or scratch his ass or something, got shot up by a white officer. And he was on his belly. Completely defenseless. You know what I'm talking about? I think it was in Vegas. Officer got off. He got charged, but he beat the charges. And dude was doing something stupid. He had a gun, running around showing it. They called the police. The dude, he got to the scene. And in the video, it's in the hallway. You see from the body cam. You remember seeing this? Dude was crawling on his belly, and he stopped and scratched his back.
I think I did see that.
He scratched his back. The officer, don't move again. He said, you move again, I'm going to light you up. And he crawled some more and reached back to scratch his belly, and he killed him right there on the spot and got off. White dude. So, you know, people look at Dylan Roof, and they look at these high-profile incidences, but what I keep trying to tell them is like this dude in Illinois, when the boys rolled up on him, what did he do? He got on the ground. He wasn't running away at night. It's not the same circumstance. It just ain't. And, you know, people try to make it the same. It is not the same circumstance. But even though we know race matters.
Well, the black guy, the subway shooting, remember that in New York? He got taken into custody.
He got taken into custody, right. Because when they swooped down on him, he surrendered. They said, get on your belly. He got on his belly. He wasn't running away at night. It's just a really sad circumstances, because then you can point to some other circumstances where somebody is surrendering, hands up, and they get shot. It's just a real, very complicated situation. But again, I stand by what I said. Fight it in court. Fight it in court. I think we just lost Black Russia. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate the call. We lost Black Russia. It's just really, really sad. So I don't want to make any assumptions about it. I think people should make assumptions. Why'd they bring him in custody? Because when they said, get on your belly, he got on his belly and they arrested him. The DC sniper, they arrested them. So, you know, I just feel like it's a bit more, it's not so black and white per se. It's a bit more nuanced, and you can find outliers and examples of this and examples of that. Is so many different interactions with law enforcement throughout the country, with black and white people and all kind of Americans, that it's really hard to say. That's why I say you never know. Just fight that in court. Just fight that in court. Nakia writes, I wouldn't call it a lack of sophistication in engineering. I wouldn't call it like I don't have anything negative to say about Brent. Brent was totally valid in what he had to say. Just that one point I had to disagree with him. He's totally valid in what he said. You know what I'm saying? Janice writes, men hate on each other as much as or as more than women. Just listen to the talk show, shaking my head. Yeah, men do hate on men. Insecure men hate on other men. You know, I think that's insecurity. But I'm just saying, I was talking about Donnie in particular, and just women, strong women get hated on by other women. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, wait a minute, y'all supposed to be rallying around one another and shit. And I don't know what that is. I think it might be insecurity or something. It's hard. I'm not a woman, so it's hard to determine. You know, you show me a woman that's like strong and she know who she is and she don't mind telling people. And women, I've noticed, can get rubbed the wrong way. And I'm like, well, why Why do you care how somebody else is? That's them. Let them be them. That's not like if I'm around a man with a strong personality, and I'm not even sure what that really means, but if I'm around a strong, I don't know. I just don't see how that it negates anybody else's shine or whatever. I never understood that kind of stuff. I think you should be able to stand on your own 2 feet no matter what room you in or who you standing next to, but that's just me. Kathy writes, she brings the raw, uncut truth to my Donnie, absolutely. From her perspective, which is very important. Very important. Absolutely. She's been spitting fire, and she's funny too. And I miss her telling me what she was watching, because then I got a chance to figure out, like, okay, maybe this might be a good show. Maybe this might be a good show. I'm just talking up Donnie. I'm talking up Donnie this morning. Let me see here. Brother Christian, just another amazing talent, highly motivated. Great job. Did an excellent job. Unique perspective. I think very, very highly about his show and what he's doing and what he's trying to do, and the audience that he built, the senators. I think very highly of. Like I said, I don't have a lot of time. So I'm not looking to waste my time. I'm not gonna waste my time. It's just not gonna happen. So I'm always here to work with people to amplify their voices. Always. I'm gonna continue doing this work because I love it. And like I said, in some cases, I like it even more than doing my own show. I've been doing this for so long that you start looking at other things. And I got a few things in mind. I'll share it with you soon. Let me see. Dale writes, I love both of y'all. Good debate. Oh, absolutely. For sure. Yeah, it's just conversation. That's it. I think I'm right. He thinks he's right. It is what it is. That's it. Nothing more than that. Well, I won't say, maybe he's fair in saying this. Like, people who don't really understanding that polling is a science, I can understand completely why they're like, oh, they just make that up. I get it 100%. I understand, but I'm here to tell you there's a right way of doing it and there's a wrong way of doing it, like it is in everything. You got Al Tuchfarber over at UC. They have a polling institute, one of the most renowned polling institutes, organizations in the entire country. They've been doing polling for 30 years, predicting outcomes, election outcomes, working with elected officials. I'm telling you, there's a reason why these candidates, when they're running, they love to get they hope they have some money to do some polling, because it gives you an idea on where you should focus on. And that's it. What are we looking at here? 9:47 a.m. Let me talk about Trick Daddy real quick in the time we got left. We want to talk about Trick Daddy. This is a subject that's off the beaten path. It ain't so serious. Maybe we can get into it real quick. So Trick Daddy, he got some clicks because of a statement that he recently made on the Breakfast Club. I'll put it right there. Trick Daddy refers to his wife's boyfriends as his boyfriends-in-laws, says he is against getting divorced. Now, as I understand it, his wife, her name is Joy. Only reason why I know is because I've seen some clips, or maybe I watched a couple episodes of like Love and Hip Hop Miami, and they were both on there. And number one, let me say, every time I see Trick Daddy, he look like he in bad health. I hope the brother get his health together. I don't know what he's doing, but he don't look healthy. That's number one. That face does not look healthy. Does not look healthy. Health. Drink some water. Put down the blunts. Stop drinking that alcohol. It's going to kill you, Trick Daddy. And we need you here to delight us with your music. with your music. But him and his wife are, I guess, estranged or something like that. He says he ain't getting a divorce, and that he's fully aware that his wife is seeing other dudes, and he's okay with it. He refers to his wife's boyfriends as his boyfriends-in-laws. What in the hell? What kind of man? There's a part of me that understands Trick Daddy on some levels. I get it. What he's saying is alcohol is horrible. Yes, it'll kill you in a minute. It'll kill you. Put it down. He has lupus. I know. All the more reason to do everything you got to do to keep yourself 100% healthy. That's all I'm saying. I ain't taking no shots at this brother. I wish him nothing but the best. I'm just saying, Jamal, that when I see him, I'm like, ooh, okay, bro. Hope you're taking care of yourself. Trick Daddy refers to his wife's boyfriends as his boyfriend-in-laws. Says he ain't getting divorced. So him and his wife is estranged, which means, you know, they might be on the road to divorce. He don't want to get divorced. So number one, you know, for all the pro-marriage people and shit, you know, you should applaud this. You know, this is an example of a man that believes in his marriage. He wants to stay married to this woman and who is doing whatever she's doing. But I watched the clip of the video, pardon me, in which they were talking about it. He seemed like he was on some Omarion type stuff, like he's unbothered. And I'd like to get your thoughts. He said, can't disagree there, right? I'd like to get your thoughts on this. Do you understand where this man is coming from? I think that for a long time, women have been making these kind of compromises when they come to their husbands. I think there's women out there that have been in relationships with men, and maybe it's a man that, you know, that many women find attractive, and they know he's seeing somebody on the side. They like, you know what? He doing whatever he doing, but he loving me right. And, you know, it ain't messing with our household. So you go do what you gonna do. Right? I think that's a thing. TC writes, Trick Daddy will settle for anything he hit. Maybe, or maybe he's saying like, look, you know, our relationship is on the rocks. If that's what she feel like she need to do, to go see some dudes, go do all that and come back to me. We can talk about it later. I think on some levels, that's a very, I don't know what the word is. But what do you think? What do you think? Could you see yourself doing this if you were in that situation? Do you think that this is just like modern marriage? You know what I'm saying? Because people talking about polyamory and open marriages these days. I see more and hear more of this now than ever before. Man, it's people out here with whole social media channels. There's a brother, I can't remember his name. He's big on social media like Facebook. And he's got 2 wives, 2 sisters. And he promotes polyamory, right? The idea you can be in love with more than one person. DeAndre writes, the word is desperate. Is he desperate? That's hilarious. Is he desperate? I don't know. Or is he just saying, you know what? I can only control what I can control, but I still love her. I still love her. And any women out there that would give Trick Daddy props for the way he's looking at this? Because typically you see men, right, on the other side of this, right? You see women on the other side of this. I'd like to know. You tell me. Thumbs up or thumbs down? Is this like the new reality? Janice writes, I hope they are both practicing safe sex. Absolutely, without saying so. Absolutely. What do you think? Nakia writes, no, he need to let her go, let her live. She don't want him no more. Maybe, but I mean, isn't that what y'all want from a man, ladies? You want a man it's okay, do whatever you want to do. I'm still gonna be here for you, boo. Ain't that what you want? Yeah, you tell me. TC writes, let her go. Well, hasn't he already? I mean, isn't what he's saying is like, look, I let her go. She can do what she gonna do, but I still want to be married to her. Maybe we can work this out. Or are you saying let her go in the sense of get divorced, which I understand completely. I'm with you on that one. Like, let her go do what she gonna do. And then if y'all find yourself back together sometime in the future, then so be it. Rachel writes, this is crazy. Trick Daddy is getting tricked. That's a spin off the name Trick Daddy. He's getting tricked, huh? TNT writes, he was lucky to have her and he messed it up. When a woman is fed up, ain't nothing you can do about it. Is that right? TC writes, no, he hasn't. He still has hope. I mean, look, don't we want a man to hold on to his marriage? This is what it looked like. You trying to hold on to his marriage. I mean, would it be better if he got all in his feelings, was looking for dude with a pistol? I'm going to kill you, mess with my wife. Would that be better? The man is saying, look, I see the writing on the wall. I see the writing on the wall. Here's what she doing, One thing I'll tell you after being married 20-some years is, and we already know this, right? And I have many friends who have been married 15, 6. I know many people. And marriage license or no marriage license, if a person want to do something, they going to do it. Male, female, young, old, black, white, with the ring on, with the ring off. If somebody's going to cheat or whatever, that's what they're going to do. You can't control it whatsoever. You have no control over it. None. Now, most people operate in that environment because they have trust in what their partner is telling them. And if their partner tell them, like, look, I'm on some honest, faithful type ish, they don't even think about it. But the reality is you ain't got no control. You know how easy it is to slip to a hotel or wherever people do whatever people they're going to do. It's easy as hell. You can't stop it. You can't stop it. So why even put some energy into stop it? Why even worry about it? Sean says he's looking at it from a business standpoint. Cheaper to keep her could be. Nakia writes, that's a bad place for a man to be. Is it? Kevin writes, if this was Trick Daddy cheating, women would be at arms. Take all his money and everything he got. He said everything. Oh my God. Everything, huh? Anybody agree with Trick Daddy? Like, hey, this is a very enlightened way for a man to view marriage, right? This is some modern marriage type ish. Anybody feel that way? I didn't think so. So you still got hope. Sometimes that's all you got. Love Trick Daddy's recipes. What? He does a cooking show or something? I didn't even know he was cooking on YouTube. I had no idea, really. Last time I watched Trick Daddy, he was on cooking shows, man. I had no idea. No idea. But I'll leave you with that. That's all I got for you this morning. I'll let you get on to the rest of your day. Today's show brought to you in part by our friends over at Wing Champ, the undisputed champion of all wings. They're out in Sharonville on Sharonville Road. If you're traveling north on the interstate, get off on the Sharonville exit and take a right. It'll be just a block and a half, maybe 2 blocks up. And when you stop in, make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Nathan Ivey Show. It means everything. All right. Let me jump in Spreaker real quick. What's up, CG Dub? She writes, good morning, choppers. People voted for Trump again with all the crap he did. Why wouldn't they vote for Tierra Mack again? Because, right. I hear what you're saying. Because Tierra Mack is a woman and she's black. That's why. Pamela writes, Donnie B, the Republicans do not want to meet in the middle. Some of them may, but some of them don't. Some of them don't. There is no middle ground. It's end abortion, period. That's it. There is no middle ground. I thought we had a middle ground, but that's just me. What do I know, right? Listen, folks, have an excellent rest of your day. I'll be back and hopefully better than ever with you tomorrow morning, bright and early, 7 a.m. hour. Look for the feed. Until next time, and take care of yourself and take care of the people around you. And we'll talk real soon.
Yeah, talking to my mirror like I love you so much. Curving on my critics like I heard you, so what? You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. Tally all the I ever gave on my head. Lately I've been living like I can't take a loss. They ain't wanna help me, that's what made me a boss. You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man.